Chapter 806. This time, it could be seen that Qin was truly furious and was going to attack the eastern factions to prove Qin's name with blood. Qin's name could not be humiliated. Great Qin's furious actions caused the surrounding regions to fall silent. After seeing the terrifying power that Great Qin had displayed, no one wanted to offend Great Qin right now. The eastern factions, who had been arguing with Qin, felt even more furious because they had not done anything like this. It was definitely Qin's fault, but most people believed Qin and did not believe them at all. This made them feel wronged. Now that Qin wanted to use this opportunity to attack, the eastern factions felt incredibly furious and sullen. However, they could only calm down because they were definitely not a match for Qin. If they fought, they would definitely lose. Now that they had calmed down, Qin became even more arrogant. He attacked the eastern factions and then aggressively stated that if they remained silent and did not admit their mistakes, Qin would still attack. After such a long time, Qin had been waiting for justice to arrive, so he had not acted against the eastern factions. He hoped that they would understand that Qin was not a bloodthirsty and cruel person, but the eastern factions' methods were simply too despicable and vicious. Qin definitely could not endure this anymore. He had already given the eastern factions a chance, and if they still did not admit their mistakes, Qin could only attack. This sonorous voice showed how magnanimous, friendly, and unyielding Qin was. Even if he attacked now, it was because he had been forced by the eastern factions. Now, everyone was waiting for the eastern factions to express their stance. If they did not express their stance, they would be attacked, and they definitely did not want to participate. Qin was also waiting for this opportunity. If they did not admit their mistakes, Qin would be able to openly destroy them. At that moment, the eastern factions were deathly silent, and everyone looked furious. As long as there was a chance of winning, they would definitely fight to the death with Qin. Qin was a despicable person, and they continuously cursed him in their hearts. However, in reality, they were not a match for Qin at all. They originally had 400 city lords, but after hearing that Qin was going to attack, the 100 city lords did not want to cause any trouble. They told the outside world that they did not know anything and chose to leave. Now, there were only 300 city lords left, and they were not a match for Qin at all. Should they insist that they were not in the wrong and be destroyed by Qin, or should they compromise and resolve this crisis? In the end, the eastern forces chose to compromise. This was the reality. They couldn't defeat Qin, so they could only admit defeat. They had to announce to the public that everything was their doing and admit their mistakes in humiliation. Qin generously expressed that he was willing to accept this. As long as they admitted their mistakes, Qin would still be willing to accept them. This caused countless people to praise him. For a time, more than a dozen city lords were attracted by Qin's righteous figure and chose to join Qin. In fact, Zhao Fu sighed in disappointment. If the eastern forces had persisted, Qin could have attacked them directly and annexed all their forces. However, since they were willing to admit their mistakes, it would not be good for Qin to make a move. He could only act magnanimous and wait for an opportunity to destroy them. This debate between evil and justice had lasted for a long time, and in the end, Great Qin had emerged victorious. Great Qin's image of peace, friendship, and righteousness won everyone's praise, and the eastern faction city lords were labeled as evil and despicable. Using this momentum, Qin continued to send out ambassadors, and they were welcomed by countless cities. Following this, Qin once again calmed down and became quite free. His soldiers could only train as there were no battles to fight. In actuality, Zhao Fu wanted to clear out the 80 or so regions that he had conquered, but those places were quite far away from Qin. If Qin sent out so many soldiers, if their retreat path was cut off, both Qin and his soldiers would be in great danger. Even though China seemed to be quite peaceful, Zhao Fu knew that many people were secretly spying on Qin. If Qin made any big mistakes, they would definitely seize the opportunity to counterattack. Zhao Fu did not dare to send out so many soldiers, so he could only have his soldiers train and increase the number of diplomatic missions. He wanted more cities to join Great Qin, so that they would be able to clear out the nearby regions. After a few more days, the last festival of the human world finally arrived. This festival was called the 6 Days Festival, which meant that it would last for 6 days, but it also contained the meaning of 6 festivals. Ever since the human world had entered the heaven-awakened world, there had been 6 festivals: the 10,000 Flower Festival, the Ghost Festival, the Divine Fish Festival, the Disaster Festival, the New Year Festival, and the Trial Festival. The 6-day festival was the second stage of the 6 festivals, and there would be a festival every day. For example, the first day was the 10,000 Flower Festival's second stage, the Flower World. The second day was the Ghost Festival's second stage, the Ghost World. And the third day was the Divine Fish Festival's second stage, the Fish Spirit World. Thinking back to the 6 festivals, Zhao Fu couldn't help but happily smile. After all, many of Great Qin's important things came from these festivals, such as the 100 Ghost Illusionist profession and the Ghost Summoner profession. This was especially so for the 100 Ghost Illusionists, who had been incredibly useful on countless battlefields. After using them a few times, things had become much easier to deal with, and they had contributed greatly to Qin. There were also Stage 3 and Stage 4 medicinal pill recipes, the Emperor Phoenix statue, the Corpse Soul Blood Lake, the 5 Great Generals, and Qin's most important dragon nest, which he had obtained from the Divine Fish Festival's legendary upgrade stone. Even the incredibly powerful World Beast, which could only be born in a single world, had been obtained from the Trial Festival. Also, the magic formations to leave the Legacy Land relied on event items. Some people said that these events were useless, but without these things, how could Qin have developed so quickly? For example, the Void Talismans that Zhao Fu had obtained during the New Year Festival had become his greatest weapon against players in the real world. Without these talismans, it was possible that Qin would still be suppressed by countless players. Zhao Fu had kept these talismans and did not use them against the fish scale world. This was mainly because he was wary of human players. If he used them against the fish scale people, he would lose them and be attacked by a large number of human players, which would put him at a disadvantage. After all, human players could endlessly revive, and if it wasn't for the fact that they could harm their real bodies in the real world, they would not be afraid of Qin. As such, it was impossible for players to run away as soon as Qin appeared. Chapter 807. In the future, the chaotic world stone steals would disappear, and if people wanted to obtain good pill recipes, equipment, or city creation stones, they would have to buy them or steal them. Otherwise, they would not be able to obtain them again. Zhao Fu felt that it was impossible to obtain them. That was how important these events were, and those who thought that they were useless were wrong. Without these things, how could a faction develop? Right now, the best medicinal pills were most likely Stage 2, and the best equipment was legendary. People could only steal to obtain what they wanted, and they lacked resources. How could they develop so quickly? It was a pity that this was the final festival, and there wouldn't be any more festivals in the future. There were some things that people couldn't even buy or steal, so they could only rely on themselves to slowly develop. However, because it was the final festival, the rewards were incredibly precious. There were 6 types of items on the rankings, and there were 3 of each type. 1. 9 Dragon Spirit Spear. Grade: Level 1 Saint Armament. Description: forged from 9 Dragon Remnant Souls and Spirit Earth Stones, and has immense power. 2. Flame Beast Tooth Saber. Grade: Level 1 Saint Armament. Description: forged from the tooth of an extremely powerful Flame Beast King, and has immense fire attribute power. 3. Chilling Moon Divine Bow. Grade: Level 1 Saint Armament. Description: forged from Chilling Moonstone and Godly Iron, an extremely powerful divine bow. 4. Human Ghost. SS Grade Military. Description: a powerful profession formed from the fusion of a human and a ghost. Number of professions can be changed, 1,000. 5. Ghost God Soldier. Grade: SS Grade Military. Description: able to use powerful ghosts to forge ghostly soldiers that are extremely powerful. Number of professions can be changed, 1,000. 6. Ghost Eyes. Grade: SS Grade Military. Description: has the ability to summon ghost spirit eyes, which can be used for scouting and can also use ghost devouring eyes. 7. Tao Comprehension Pill, a cultivation-type medicinal pill that is extremely rare in the world. It has extremely powerful effects, and it can cause one to comprehend the Tao and control the source energy of the heavens and earth. Those with low cultivations should not consume it, or their souls will be destroyed. 8. Heavenly Sage Pill, a rare holy pill that can defy the heavens. It can raise a person's grade from human grade to heaven grade, and it can change one's constitution and strengthen one's attributes. 9. Revival Pill, an extremely heaven-defying medicinal pill that can heal injuries. No matter how heavily injured someone is, or even if they are already dead, as long as they have not been dead for more than 8 hours, they will be able to live after consuming this revival pill. 10. Celestial City, Grade, Legendary, Description, a city where celestials live. It has a spirit-gathering formation that can increase one's cultivation speed. It also has the legacy art, yin-yang art. Sword Mountain, Grade, Legendary, Description, a city that focuses on swords. It contains a powerful sword intent, and it contains the legacy sword art absolute soul / and the legacy cultivation technique above the sword. Holy God City, Grade, Legendary, Description, a city with a godly spirit's bloodline. It has immense power and will spawn weak godly bloodline races. 13. General's Fate, Khaled, a historical general's fate. After using it, one can obtain Khaled's fate, and one can obtain various skills and innate stats. 14. General's Fate, Carthage, a historical general's fate. After using it, one can obtain Khaled's fate, and one can obtain various skills and innate stats. 15. General's Fate, Suvorov, a historical general's fate. After using it, one can obtain Khaled's fate, and one can obtain various skills and innate stats. 16. Nine-tailed Devil Fox, a legendary devil beast that has snow-white fur and 9 tails. Not only is it innately charming, but it also has many illusions that can confuse people's hearts. It also has a massive amount of devil chi. 17. Divine Dragon Horse, a dragon horse from Eastern legends. It has a pure divine dragon bloodline, and it is said to be the mount of a saint. It is incredibly powerful, and it is as fast as lightning. It can soar into the air, and it is not something ordinary beasts can compare to. 18. Hell, Three-Headed Hound, a vicious dog from Western legends. It has 3 heads and has hellfire. It is said to guard the gates of hell and has incredibly ferocious and terrifying power. After looking through the rankings, Zhao Fu could not help but feel incredibly excited. The treasures on the rankings were all incredibly rare, and ordinary people would not be able to obtain them at all. There were 3 saint armaments right from the start, which was something that ordinary dynasties would not have. This was because saint armaments were definitely the strongest divine armaments in history. As the place where fate was the most concentrated, China had only given birth to 2 saint armaments. One was the Xinyuan sword, and the other was the Qiyu saber. In the entire human world, there were definitely no more than 10 saint armaments, and it could be seen how precious they were. Some independent people might want equipment, but Zhao Fu did not lack any because he already had enough weapons. Next were medicinal pills, which were similar to the medicinal pills from before. Even though they were quite precious and Qin needed them, he decided to put them aside for now. The general's fate could also be put aside, as he did not really need it. Finally, the god beast egg could also be put aside. What interested Zhao Fu the most were the 3 powerful professions and the 3 legendary great cities. These 3 professions were related to ghosts, and there could be 1,000 of them. Zhao Fu felt that these professions would be incredibly useful in future battles, and they would allow Qin to develop even more quickly and help Qin clear all obstacles. There were also 3 legendary great cities. Right now, only dynasties had legendary great cities, so they were naturally quite difficult to obtain. They were used to establish a faction's core, and their stats determined how powerful a faction was. Last time, Zhao Fu had not been able to obtain even one of the 10 legendary grade cities, and he had felt quite regretful. Now that he had obtained these 3 legendary grade cities, Zhao Fu did not want to give up on them at all. What Zhao Fu wanted the most were the 3 professions and the 3 legendary grade cities. As for the others, Zhao Fu did not even bother looking at them. As long as he could obtain these 6 legendary grade cities, it would be enough, and he would be able to make Qin's faction even more powerful. Zhao Fu only gave a simple explanation for this event, and he did not know what it would be like. However, because it was the second stage of the 6 previous festivals, it would definitely be related to the 6 previous festivals. This event was incredibly important to Qin, so Zhao Fu stopped everything and started to prepare for the 6-day festival. Chapter 808. Now, Qin controlled 160 regions, including 1,472 great cities, 30 cities, 240 towns, and 22,489 villages. His total population was now 690 million or so, and he had 100 million soldiers. There were 80 million Stage 1 soldiers, too, 8 million Stage 2 soldiers, 300,000 Stage 3 soldiers, and 14,000 Stage 4 soldiers. Everyone in Great Qin started to prepare for the 6-day festival. The 6-day festival would start at 12 a.m., and even though it was still early in the morning and there was still some time until 12 a.m., there was not enough time. After all, they had to prepare for 6 festivals, so how could they have enough time? Each festival only lasted for 1 day, and after the next festival, there would be no free time. As such, Qin became quite busy, and Zhao Fu personally left the legacy land to buy all sorts of things. Time passed quickly. It seemed like it hadn't even been long before the sky turned dark. Bright stars appeared in the dark blue night sky, forming a beautiful and spectacular Milky Way. Suddenly, the sky was filled with all sorts of colors, white, pink, and azure, and they were all distributed in an orderly fashion. It did not look chaotic, and it looked like a painting. Flower petals started to fall from the sky like a rain of flowers. There were all sorts of flower petals, and the scene of flower petals filling the sky was incredibly majestic. It seemed like something that would only happen in a dream, and there was a faint fragrance in the air. Under the control of the festival's power, the flowers on the ground started to blossom into beautiful flowers that were symmetrical with the dancing petals, causing the entire world to become a world of flowers. Zhao, we love this festival. The 3 flower spirits smiled and excitedly flew around Zhao Fu. They were spirits that had been born from flowers, so they were naturally the most excited about the 10,000 Flower Festival. Under Zhao Fu's nurturing, their strength had reached Stage 5, and even though they were still as big as a palm, they could use powerful plant magic. Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at the world of flowers. This was the second stage of the 10,000 Flower Festival, and it was different from the beginning of the 10,000 Flower Festival. After the sky full of flower petals stopped falling, crystalline beads appeared on the flowers. These were flower tears. System announcement. You have received the Level 3 Flower Fairy's Blessing and have received 3 times the buff from the Flower Tear Blessing. This system announcement made Zhao Fu feel quite delighted. He had never thought that the Flower Fairy's Blessing would have such an effect. The Flower Fairy's Blessing had caused flowers to bloom everywhere in Qin, and the air to be filled with the fragrance of flowers. However, it only lasted for 3 years, and it was now the 3rd year in the Heaven Awakened world. Zhao Fu still remembered that he had received the Flower's Embrace, which could increase one's charm towards women and spirits. It was this blessing that had attracted the 3 flower spirits to Qin. Now that the flower tears had appeared, there was quite a bit of time. Now, Qin didn't have much time. Zhao Fu ordered his people to prepare some things. However, at that moment, something unexpected happened. The ground continuously trembled as a flower monster crawled out from the ground. It was humanoid, but its body was made of plants. Its hands and legs were made of roots, and there was a flower on its head that had a blue flower tear on it. This flower spirit strength was at stage 0 to 7, and it wasn't something that ordinary residents could deal with. Even though the second stage of the 10,000 Flower Festival was even more beautiful than before, it was also much more dangerous. After the flower spirit appeared, it rushed at everyone. In a stage, one soldier stabbed out with a spear, piercing through its heart. The flower spirit fell to the ground and died, turning into motes of light and disappearing. They weren't real creatures and were instead products of some kind of activity. Zhao Fu had never thought that there would be such a change. Luckily, he had enough soldiers, and all of them had stage 1 strength, so dealing with some flower spirits would be no problem. He also had the residents form teams with the soldiers so that they wouldn't have to worry about their safety. The stage 2 and stage 3 soldiers were responsible for dealing with the higher grade flower devils. Because of the blue flower tears on the flower devils' heads, they were split into different grades. The higher the grade of flower tears, the higher the grade of flower devils. Now that Qin controlled 160 regions, he had more than enough space to find flower tears. He had nearly 700 million people, and he had 3 times the flower tear points, so he could collect countless flower tears. However, with this amount of power, Zhao Fu didn't feel at ease. Now all of the regions in the world have been opened up, and people could freely come and go, let alone collecting the flower tears of an entire continent. Even if someone collected 1,000 regions worth of flower tears, Zhao Fu wouldn't be able to compete with them. Right now, Zhao Fu didn't have any confidence at all, so he ordered his people to buy flower tears with money or equipment or medicinal pills. He wanted to obtain flower tears at all costs, as Zhao Fu desperately wanted those 6 items. Zhao, I can sense a very, very big flower spirit in the distance. Rose, the most lively of the 3 flower spirits, gestured with her hands as she spoke. We can sense it too. The other 2 flower fairies also opened their mouths. Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. He had never thought that the flower spirits would have the ability to sense flower spirits. Moreover, they had said that the flower spirit was very big, which meant that the flower tears were very high grade. Zhao Fu grinned. He now had 3 flower spirits, and he could take 1 with him and give the other 2 to others. High-grade flower tears could be used to unlock blessings and could be exchanged for festival points. A violet flower tear was worth 10,000 normal flower tears. An orange flower tear was worth 100,000 normal flower tears, and a platinum flower tear was worth 1 million normal flower tears. Zhao Fu quickly called over by Qi and Gania. Killing flower spirits required great power, and Bai Qi was the most powerful after fusing with his 7 murders power. Gania was Zhao Fu's strongest swordsman, and with the 2 of them, they would be able to quickly kill the flower spirits. However, one of them gave off a dense killing intent, while the other gave off a sharp sword intent. The 2 flower spirits trembled in fear, and tears almost came out of their eyes. As such, Zhao Fu could only call over Asani and Daisy and have them take the flower spirits to look for flower spirits, while Bai Qi and Gania were responsible for killing them. Seeing the familiar faces of Asani and Daisy, the 2 flower spirits quickly became happy and led them to search for flower spirits. Rose, let's go as well. We'll be able to see them when we get back. Rose looked the most lively, but she was also the weakest. Even if the 2 flower spirits left for a while, they would feel quite uncomfortable and depressed, so Zhao Fu could not help but comfort them. All right, Rose quickly came back to her senses and gave a sweet smile as she replied. Chapter 809. The first one was an orange flower tear, which was worth 100,000 normal flower tears, which made Zhao Fu feel quite delighted. This 10 or so meter tall flower devil had stage 4 strength, but in front of Zhao Fu, it couldn't even withstand a single blow. Roar! The massive flower devil discovered Zhao Fu and gave a muffled roar that sounded out in the surrounding kilometers. It then strode forwards and swung its large hands towards Zhao Fu with shocking power. Rose wasn't very afraid because she had stage 5 strength and trusted that Zhao Fu would deal with it. As such, she sat on Zhao Fu's shoulder and stared at the massive flower devil. At that moment, Zhao Fu took out the Sin Dragon sword and slashed out, sending out an extremely sharp cold light that easily cut the flower devil's body in half. The massive flower devil instantly collapsed to the ground, kicking up a lot of dust before turning into motes of light and dissipating. A pearl giving off a faint orange light floated in the air, and Zhao Fu grabbed at the air, causing the pearl to fly into Zhao Fu's hand. Dawn Flower Tear. A flower tear that can be exchanged for 100,000 flower tears. Collecting 10 Dawn Flower Tears will unlock the level 4 Flower Fairy's Blessing. After looking at its stats, Zhao Fu was quite satisfied and put away. The Flower Fairy's Blessing was quite useful for beautifying the environment, and he wondered how long the level 4 Flower Fairy's Blessing would last. Rose, can you still sense where the flower devils are? Zhao Fu asked Rose, who was sitting on his shoulder as he put away the flower tear. Hearing this, Rose closed her eyes and carefully sensed her surroundings before opening her eyes and stretching out her little hand as she said happily, "Zhao, there's a big flower devil over there." Hearing this, Zhao Fu flew in the direction that Rose had pointed out. Soon, he found another flower devil that had a dawn flower tear, and after killing it, he obtained another dawn flower tear. "Zhao, there's a really big flower demoness over there." A few hours later, Rose suddenly gestured with her hands, and a flower demoness that was even bigger than what she had described earlier appeared. Zhao Fu grinned. This meant that there were high-grade flower tears. Over the past few hours, Zhao Fu had killed 59 flower devils and obtained 59 dawn flower tears. Zhao Fu once again flew in the direction that Rose had pointed, and a 30-meter-tall, giant-like flower devil appeared before Zhao Fu. This flower devil was even bigger than the dawn flower devil, and it was thicker. Its figure was clearer, and its aura was more powerful. Its strength had reached stage 5, and within the massive flower on its head was a flower tear that gave off a platinum light. However, in front of Zhao Fu, a stage 5 flower devil wasn't even worth mentioning. Zhao Fu once again swung the Sin Dragon Sword, but he had never expected the flower devil to have learned skills. The flower devil raised its hands in front of its body, and countless branches stretched out. Flowers bloomed, forming a flower shield, looking incredibly beautiful. Zhao Fu's sword light slashed against the flower shield, causing countless flower petals to fly everywhere like rain. Roar! The flower shield was slashed apart, and a long gash appeared on the flower devil's hands, causing it to howl and retreat a few steps. However, it was still alive. Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. He had never thought that something like this would happen. However, he had only casually slashed out, and he hadn't used much power. This time, Zhao Fu was a bit more serious, and he once again killed the flower devil. The flower devil's massive body turned into motes of light and disappeared, and a platinum pearl floated in the air. At the same time, a jade-green seed also floated in the air. Zhao Fu walked over and picked up the two items. Moonlight Flower Tear. A flower tear that can be exchanged for 1 million dawn flower tears. Collecting 10 dawn flower tears will unlock the level 5 Flower Fairy's Blessing. Flower Devil Seed. Flower devils are devils among flowers, and they innately support flowers. Because this is a plant-type flower devil, a single seed can create a group of flower devils. This seed is an ordinary seed and can only create ordinary flower devils. Zhao Fu wasn't too shocked about the Moonlight Flower Tear, but it was the first time he had seen a flower devil seed. A single seed could create a group of flower devils, which was quite useful and could be used to create a large number of flower devils. However, would the flower devils created be the same as the current flower devils? These flower demons looked quite horrifying, and they were definitely the type that would scare little children. However, they weren't too weak either, so they could be nurtured. Perhaps there would be unexpected gains. Zhao Fu smiled as he took out a spirit fruit and handed it to Rose, who was sitting on his shoulder. Rose didn't refuse and waved her hand, putting away the fist-sized spirit fruit. There was also a small spatial ring on her hand, which Zhao Fu had made for the three of them. Rose put away first and would eat it with Hunter and Peach when they met. This spirit fruit was a stage 4 spirit fruit and was quite rare. Zhao, there's a very, very, very big flower devil in that direction. After putting away the spirit fruit, Rose happily smiled and pointed in that direction as she said. Hearing Rose's words, Zhao Fu couldn't help but feel delighted. According to what she had said, there should be flower devils that were even more powerful than the moonlight flower devils. In the second stage of the Flower World event, these 3 flower devils would definitely make great contributions. Without their senses, no one would be able to find flower devils so quickly and accurately, and they wouldn't have such massive gains as Qin had. Following the direction that Rose had pointed out, Zhao Fu quickly found a massive flower devil. This flower devil was 60 meters tall and had stage 6 strength, which would be quite troublesome to deal with. There was a flower tear on the flower on its head that gave off a black light. Zhao Fu didn't know what grade it was, but it was definitely more powerful than the moonlight flower tear. After fighting for a while, Zhao Fu killed this massive flower devil and obtained 2 items. One was a black flower tear, and the other was a flower devil seed. Zhao Fu didn't know what grade it was, but it was definitely more powerful than the moonlight flower tear. Night flower tear, a flower tear that can be exchanged for 10 million flower tears. Collecting 10 night flower tears will unlock the level 6 flower fairy's blessing. Flower devil seed, a high-quality flower devil seed. This seed can create a group of flower devils, and is possible to create high-quality flower devils. This made Zhao Fu feel quite delighted. A night flower tear was worth 10 million normal flower tears. How many people could Zhao Fu obtain from this event? That would be at least a few million people. Given how rare flower tears were and how many flower devils had appeared, it was possible that a single person would not be able to obtain a single flower tear. Perhaps not even a single person would be able to obtain a single flower tear. If Zhao Fu obtained 10 million flower tears, that would be equivalent to 10 million people obtaining flower tears, making Zhao Fu feel incredibly delighted. The high-quality flower devil seed was quite good, but it was only a bit better than ordinary flower tears. It was not as delightful as the black flower tear. Chapter 8:10. According to Rose's description, this was definitely a flower devil that surpassed the night flower devil's grade, and it had even higher grade flower tears and flower devil seeds. The night flower devil's flower tears were already worth 10 million ordinary flower tears. If it was a higher grade flower tear, how much would it be worth? Zhao Fu did not waste any time and quickly flew in the direction that Rose was pointing at. A few minutes later, a massive creature appeared in front of Zhao Fu. This flower devil was 500 meters tall and gave off a terrifying aura. It was comparable to a boss monster or region, and the massive flower on its head had a pearl that gave off a 3-colored light. It was definitely even more valuable than the night flower tear. Zhao Fu looked delighted and immediately rushed up with the Sin Dragon sword. The 3-colored flower devil did not hold back, and understood how powerful Zhao Fu was. As such, it used its full strength from the start. It waved its hand, causing all sorts of flowers to grow on its arm. As soon as these flowers bloomed, their petals fell off and shot towards Zhao Fu like a torrential storm. Facing such a large-scale attack, Zhao Fu could only stop and unleash his Emperor's domain. A black dragon inscription barrier covered Zhao Fu's body, and the countless petals slammed against the barrier. Clanging sounds could be heard, but they were unable to leave any marks on the barrier. Zhao Fu unleashed his Emperor's domain and continued to rush towards the 3-colored flower devil. The 3-colored flower devil's root-like hands twisted together, forming a cone-like shape. Countless flowers grew out of it, making it look like a spear of flowers, both beautiful and dangerous. The 3-colored flower devil raised the flower spear, and it gave off a powerful aura and a flowery fragrance as it stabbed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt a berserk flower wind blow at him. The flower spear was 50 meters long and gave off a powerful aura of suppression. It looked like the flower spear was about to stab towards Zhao Fu. At that moment, Zhao Fu gripped his sword with both hands and sent his Emperor's power into it. The Sin Dragon sword gave off a terrifying sword light, and Zhao Fu slashed out with immense power. Bang! The beautiful flower spear collided with the terrifying sword light, resulting in a massive explosion. Flower petals and sword chi shot everywhere like a wild gale. Thump! Thump! Thud! Zhao Fu did not move at all in the air, while the massive flower devil took 3 steps back. Each step gave off a massive sound, causing the ground to tremble and leaves to fall. Roar! The 3-colored flower devil furiously roared, and the massive flower on its head gave off an intense 3-colored light. All of the flowers in the surrounding few kilometers seemed to be summoned and flew towards the 3-colored flower devil. Huge flower petals danced around the 3-colored flower spirit. There were all kinds of flower petals: white, red, yellow, and blue. All of the flower petals revolved around the flower spirit. Under the illumination of the 3-colored light, it was magnificent, and the fragrance of the flowers spread out like a tide. At the same time, a powerful aura spread out like a wild gale. All of the flower devils in the surrounding dozens of kilometers felt quite afraid and instinctively distanced themselves from this region. Even though this flower spirit looked pretty scary when it came to attacking, it was simply way too beautiful. Looking at the scene before him, Zhao Fu could not help but sigh out. Roar! The 3-colored flower devil roared, and the countless flower petals around it formed a massive wave that flooded toward Zhao Fu. Sensing this terrifying power, Zhao Fu could not help but become serious. The Qin seal within his body gave off countless traces of black aura, providing Zhao Fu with even more power. Zhao Fu raised the Sin Dragon sword with one hand, and a terrifying sword aura rushed into the sky. Sword chi swept out like a wild gale, and the Sin Dragon sword gave off a terrifying sword light that was dozens of meters long. As the flower tide approached, Zhao Fu slashed down with all of his strength. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the massive flower tide was split apart by the massive sword light. The flower tide collapsed, and countless flower petals filled the sky. The massive sword chi from the sword light forced the 3-colored flower devil back another 4 or 5 steps, and a long gash appeared on its body. At that moment, Zhao Fu did not waste this opportunity. He turned into a ray of light and rushed in front of the 3-colored flower devil, stabbing his sword towards its heart. The flower devil was given a big fright, but it was too late. The gigantic sword light instantly pierced through its chest, mincing its heart into pieces. A large hole that was more than 10 meters wide appeared in its chest. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the massive flower devil's body collapsed to the ground and turned into countless motes of light before dissipating. There were 3 things on the ground. One was a flower tear that gave off a 3-colored light. One was a golden flower devil seed, and one was a 2-meter wide peony-like flower. Fantasy flower tear. A flower tear that can be exchanged for 100 million flower tears. Collecting 10 fantasy flower tears can unlock the level 7 flower fairy's blessing. Flower devil seed. A rare flower devil seed that can be used to create a group of flower devils, and it is possible to create rare grade flower devils. Flower domain. This item has a flower domain, and flowers within this domain will never wither. The range of the flower domain is 10,000 kilometers, and it is beneficial to the growth of flower devils. A fantasy flower tear was worth 100 million flower tears, and Zhao Fu could not help but grin. Rare grade flower devil seeds were already quite good, and Zhao Fu was quite satisfied. Finally, the flower domain. If the range of the flower domain was a bit larger, Great Qin would not have to use the flower fairy's blessing anymore. However, it was also quite good to nurture flower devils. With the flower domain's help, the flower devils would be able to quickly grow. After putting these 3 items away, Zhao Fu turned and asked Rose, who was sitting on his shoulder, "Can you still sense flower devils?" Rose closed her eyes and carefully sensed her surroundings before stretching out her little hand and pointing in a direction as she said, "There's a little flower devil there." Hearing this, Zhao Fu felt quite disappointed. He went over and saw that it was just a violet flower devil. So he killed it and took its flower tear before continuing to search for flower devils. time gradually passed, and the night gradually faded. A new day had arrived. That night, Zhao Fu killed 19 violet flower devils, 90 dawn flower devils, 8 night flower devils, and 2 fantasy flower devils. Now it was time to go back and tally up Qin's gains. The flower world would end at 12 a.m. that night. After Zhao Fu returned to Qin City, Bai Qi and Gania returned to Qin City to tally up their gains. In total, they had killed 129 violet flower devils, 40 dawn flower devils, 5 night flower devils, and 1 fantasy flower devil. All of Qin City's residents and soldiers had worked together, and they had obtained 2 billion flower tears. This was a shocking number, but it was mainly because of their numbers and the fact that they had 3 times the number of flower tears. Chapter 8:11. Now that he had so many flower tears, he could exchange them for many items. Zhao Fu chose between professions and cities, and in the end, he chose the professions. After all, special professions were more important to Qin, and special cities had to be developed slowly. Zhao Fu went to the exchange stone steel and exchanged the massive amount of flower tears for flower tier points, preparing to exchange for the human ghost profession. System announcement. The ghost world has not opened yet, so you cannot exchange for it. System announcement. You currently have flower tier points and can only exchange for items in the flower world event. If you wait until the ghost world opens the next day, your flower tier points will automatically become ghost points at a 10:1 ratio. Zhao Fu immediately felt that he had been scammed. He could not exchange for professions, and he would have to wait until the next day. Moreover, his flower tier points would be reduced to a 10:1 ratio. Zhao Fu felt that he had wasted an entire night, as none of the items in the Flower World event caught Zhao Fu's eye. This caused Zhao Fu's heart to become cold, and he could only sigh. If he did not use his flower tier points now, he would have a great advantage in the Ghost World event the next day. Even though the 10:1 ratio was a bit of a scam, if Qin obtained enough flower tier points today, Qin would have a massive amount of ghost points on the next day. When that time came, Qin would be able to exchange for professions, so it was worth it to pay for it now. Zhao Fu once again mustered up his confidence, and he had the soldiers and residents of Qin rest for a while before continuing to collect flower tears. Time gradually passed, and Zhao Fu and Rose continuously killed flower devils, obtaining high-grade flower tears. They killed 2 illusion flower devils and obtained illusion flower tears, flower devil seeds, and flower domain. However, it was now afternoon, and the sun was setting in the west. The setting sun dyed half the sky golden, and the ground was covered in a golden coat. At this moment, Zhao Fu returned and did a quick count of the flower tears. At this moment, one of the 3 weapons on the flower tears rankings had disappeared. It was the 3rd-ranked Chilling Moon Divine Bow. It seemed that others had also encountered some opportunities. Zhao Fu did not pay too much mind to this. He rested for a bit before bringing Rose to kill flower demons. Flower demons continuously died at Zhao Fu's hands, and Zhao Fu continuously collected flower tears. It was around 9 a.m., and the bright moon hung high in the sky, gently illuminating the world. At that moment, Rose suddenly pointed in a direction and said, "Zhao, there's a very, 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 very big flower demon in that direction. It's very scary. Do you want to go?" Hearing this, Zhao Fu was delighted because this flower demon could be even stronger than a dream flower demon. This meant that he would obtain a great harvest. So, of course, Zhao Fu had to go. After flying for a while, Zhao Fu arrived at his destination, which was a valley. Zhao Fu did not find any flower demons here, but he saw a massive flower growing on the ground. This flower looked like a white rose, and it gave off a faint white light. Under the moonlight, it gave off a simple and elegant aura. What made Zhao Fu feel even more shocked was that at the center of the flower, there was a rainbow-colored flower tear. This was definitely a dream flower demon. As Zhao Fu approached, the ground started to tremble as a flower demon crawled out. It was 1,000 meters tall and gave off a mountain-toppling and sea-draining aura. Its strength surpassed that of a region lord and was comparable to an aquatic beast king. Facing this terrifying power, Zhao Fu became serious because this kind of power would not be easy to deal with. The rainbow-colored flower demon stood up and roared its silver before waving its large hand, causing a massive gale to appear as it attacked Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu had the flower demon hide in his embrace before descending, dodging this attack. He then rushed up and slashed out with his sword, causing a sharp cold light to cut open a small wound on the rainbow-colored flower demon's body. Countless flowers grew out of this small wound, and the wound quickly healed. It was as if nothing had happened at all. This rainbow-colored flower demon was 10 times stronger than a normal dream flower demon, and it would not be easy to deal with. Zhao Fu did not hesitate and directly used the Qin Seal's power, exploding out with all of its power. A terrifying demonic flame erupted around his body. At that moment, the rainbow flower devil once again attacked. Countless flowers grew out of its body, and they started to spin on their own. They left the branches and flew towards Zhao Fu like sharp frisbees. Thousands of flowers flew out, giving off a terrifying aura. Zhao Fu used all of his strength to defend his emperor's domain, but under this ferocious attack, he was forced back dozens of meters, and some cracks appeared on his emperor's domain. Zhao Fu's emperor's domain was unleashed by his sovereign bloodline and had the effects of a domain pill, making it incredibly tough. If it was an ordinary king's domain, it would not have been able to withstand this attack. The Qin seal within his body continuously trembled, and Zhao Fu started to use the power of the other city lord seals. A powerful aura once again spread out from Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu raised the Sin Dragon sword with both hands, giving off a brilliant sword light. He slashed out, causing 5 water dragons to roar as they rushed towards the rainbow-colored flower demon. Facing Zhao Fu's terrifying attack, the rainbow-colored flower demon roared and waved its hands, causing a formless energy to spread out. All of the flower petals in the surrounding dozens of kilometers quickly gathered, forming a river of flower petals above the rainbow-colored flower demon's head that met the 5 water dragons. Boom! The river of flower petals and the 5 water dragons collided, resulting in a massive explosion. A shock wave blasted out, causing flower petals and water to fly everywhere, making it seem as if it was raining flowers and water. Suddenly, Zhao Fu appeared behind the rainbow-colored flower demon and ferociously slashed out, causing a 100-meter-long sword light to heavily land on the rainbow-colored flower demon's body. The rainbow-colored flower demon stumbled and fell to the ground, a deep gash on its back. Roar! The rainbow-colored flower demon howled in pain as the white rose on its head gave off terrifying ripples. Immediately, thousands of white rays of light shot out and continuously spun, and the terrifying power started to slice through everything. Zhao Fu was given a big fright and used all of his strength to unleash his emperor's domain as he dodged. The terrifying white rays of light cut the entire valley into countless pieces, and no matter if it was rocks or trees, they were all sliced apart without any resistance. Zhao Fu crawled out from a pile of rocks, and there was a trace of blood at his lips. His shoulder was also dyed red with blood. Zhao Fu had also been hit by the white rays of light, and his emperor's domain had only lasted for a few seconds before shattering. His shoulder had also been hit. By now, the rainbow-colored flower demon had just been heavily injured by Zhao Fu and had used such a powerful AoE attack, so it was quite weak. Chapter 8:12. Zhao Fu already recognized the first 3 items. One was a rainbow-colored flower tear, one was a violet flower devil seed, and one was a massive rose-like flower, which was the flower domain. The 4th item was a gray plant orb, but Zhao Fu did not know what it was. Mythical flower tear, a flower tear that could be exchanged for 1 billion flower tears. Collecting 10 mythical flower tears can unlock the level 8 flower fairy's blessing. Flower devil seed, a Lord grade flower devil seed. This seed can create a group of flower devils, and it is possible to create Lord grade flower devils. Flower domain. This item comes with a flower domain. Flowers within this domain will never wither, and the range of the domain is 100,000 kilometers, which is beneficial to the growth of flower devils. World flower seed. This seed contains a trace of source energy. It can grow into the world's most beautiful flowers, and its fragrance is the world's most enchanting flower fragrance. After looking at the 4 items information, Zhao Fu could not help but feel delighted. It turned out that these rainbow-colored flower tears were mythical flower tears, and each one was worth 1 billion flower tears. In other words, Zhao Fu had obtained more flower tears than 1 billion people. Qin and the others had only collected 3 billion flower tears in a single night, and Zhao Fu had obtained 1/3 of them. Zhao Fu was quite delighted about the Lord-grade flower devil seed. Lord-grade flower devils were destined to be powerful, and they were dozens of times more powerful than rare flower devil seeds. Zhao Fu wondered what the flower devils would be like, and he was quite curious about them. Apart from a range of 100,000 kilometers, there were no other changes to the 3rd flower domain. Zhao Fu looked around before looking at the 4th item. The world flowers information made Zhao Fu feel incredibly delighted. World flowers were incredibly rare in the world, and they were things that could not be bought with money. They were incomparably beautiful, and their enchanting fragrance was the best in the world. They were one of the 7 wonders of the world. Of course, apart from their beauty, the world flower had 2 other uses. The first was to produce flower tears, which could produce 7 flower tears per week. These flower tears were not event items, but epic-grade materials that could be used to forge epic-grade equipment. There was also the world pollen, which had a heaven-defying effect. It could make one's appearance remain forever youthful. In other words, one would be able to maintain their original appearance and not age. This was similar to a godly pill, the eternal face pill. The eternal face pill's effect was to prevent one's appearance from aging, but it was an incredibly precious item that could not be bought with money. Because of its special effects, all women in the heaven-awakened world madly pursued it. Zhao Fu had seen many such quests on the Heaven Spirit Steel, such as exchanging 10 saint armaments for eternal face pills, 100 cities for eternal face pills, supreme arts and techniques for eternal face pills, and Saint Realm experts were willing to work for eternal face pills for 10 years. From this, one could see how precious the eternal beauty pill was. The world pollen, which had the same effects, was also incomparably precious. The world flower was the reason why Zhao Fu was most surprised. With it, he could get countless unimaginable benefits, which would be of great help to Qin. However, Zhao Fu had only obtained a world flower seed, and it would take some time to nurture it before it would bloom into a beautiful world flower. Zhao Fu grinned as he put away everything. It was now 11 a.m., and there was still an hour before the ghost world would open. Zhao Fu quickly returned and started to calculate Qin's gains for the day. Qin's gains were also quite shocking. He had obtained 5 billion flower tears, and even if it was a 10:1 ratio, Qin would still have 5 billion flower tears left. This did not include the flower tears that Zhao Fu had obtained. If he included the flower tears that Zhao Fu had obtained, he would have 5 billion flower tears left. Zhao Fu had also exchanged the myth flower tears for normal flower tears. Because he only had one, it was not very useful. However, Qin had already gathered 10 fantasy flower tears, which could unlock the Level 7 Flower Fairy's Blessing. Level 7 Flower Fairy's Blessing. Effect: permanent. Description: the Flower Fairy's most beautiful blessing. The growth of flowers in your territory will be increased by 1,000%, and the withering of flowers will be slowed by 1,000%. It has the fragrant flower world effect and can help all people cultivate and get rid of their inner demons. A fantasy flower tear was worth 100 million flower tears. Zhao Fu had spent 10 fantasy flower tears not only to beautify Qin's territory, but also to unlock the Level 6 Flower Fairy's Blessing. This was because the Level 6 Flower Fairy's Blessing was permanent. However, it did not have the fragrant flower world effect, which was what Zhao Fu wanted the most. As long as they were within Qin's territory, everyone would receive the buff, regardless of whether they were soldiers or commoners. they would all be able to cultivate faster and get rid of their inner demons. This powerful buff that ignored professions and numbers was something that Zhao Fu could not obtain. As such, Zhao Fu was willing to spend 1 billion flower tears. However, it was a pity that he could only obtain one mythical flower tear. From its description, there was also the level 8 Flower Fairy's Blessing, which was most likely the final blessing of the Flower Fairy's Blessing. It would definitely be much more powerful than the level 7 Flower Fairy's Blessing. Zhao Fu came to the center of Qin City, and the 10 fantasy flower tears gave off 3 colored lights and floated into the sky before fusing together. Immediately, a rainbow-colored wave of light spread out as countless flower petals fell from the sky, accompanied by countless motes of light. The scene was incredibly beautiful, as if it was a dream, and a figure gradually appeared within the light. She had an exquisite face and long, jet-black hair. Her skin was snow-white and tender, and she wore clothes made of flower petals. There was a pure smile on her face. She was a flower fairy, and when Qin had activated the level 3 Flower Fairy's Blessing, Zhao Fu had seen her once. The Flower Fairy stretched out a hand, and a pink orb appeared in her hand. The orb floated into the air before exploding, and a pink shockwave spread out, covering the entirety of Great Qin in just a few moments. At that moment, the Flower Fairy smiled as she looked at Zhao Fu. Her gaze was incredibly clear and pure, like a pure white lotus. A long time ago, Zhao Fu had been certain that the Flower Fairy was alive, and now it seemed that she definitely had her own life and thoughts, just like an ordinary girl. The Flower Fairy lightly floated down towards Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu understood that there were other blessings. Back then, Zhao Fu had received a flower's embrace blessing. The girl floated down and stretched out her white, slender hands, and lightly hugged Zhao Fu before lightly kissing Zhao Fu's forehead. Zhao Fu could clearly feel the softness of her fragrant lips, and a pink lipstick mark appeared on Zhao Fu's forehead before entering Zhao Fu's body and disappearing. System announcement. You have obtained the Flower Fairy's Kiss, and it will be easier for you to be liked by fairies, and your charm will be greatly increased. Chapter 8:13. As this system announcement sounded out in his mind, Zhao Fu felt a rainbow-colored energy enter his body, causing his body to feel incredibly comfortable. At the same time, Zhao Fu felt a faint fragrance coming from his body. After kissing Zhao Fu's forehead, the Flower Fairy lightly let go of Zhao Fu and smiled before flying into the sky. Zhao Fu watched as the Flower Fairy disappeared. Feeling the young woman's kiss, Zhao Fu couldn't help but feel complicated and confused. He wasn't sure if the Flower Fairy really had her own life or if she was a product of some sort of event. The Flower Fairy's body started to become hazy and was about to turn into motes of light and disappear. However, at that moment, a black insect crawled out of Zhao Fu's clothes and stretched out its little head. Its large black eyes looked at the Flower Fairy curiously. Following this, it raised its head and spat out a few thin threads. These threads quickly flew towards the Flower Fairy and weakly wrapped around her. With how thin these threads were, it seemed as if they couldn't even wrap around an insect. However, something unexpected happened. The Flower Fairy's body, which had become hazy, once again became clear and was pulled in front of Zhao Fu by some sort of energy. Seeing this, Zhao Fu was completely dumbfounded. He had never thought that something like this would happen. The little black bug crawling on his chest happily leaped towards the young woman, and the young woman happily caught the little bug as it leaped over. The little bug was incredibly happy in the young woman's hands, and it continuously rolled about. Its relationship with the little bug was much better than it was with Zhao Fu. After all, Zhao Fu was the little bug's owner, and yet he was being ignored. Zhao Fu looked at this scene in surprise, and after waiting for a while, he found that the Flower Fairy still hadn't disappeared, as if she really was there. System announcement. You have used illegal methods to force the Flower Fairy to remain in the world. The Flower Fairy's stats have been greatly reduced, and all of her abilities have disappeared. Note: Only a level 8 blessing can cause the flower fairy to remain in the world. Ha ha! Zhao Fu could not help but laugh. He had never thought that something like this would happen. The Tier 8 blessing had actually been left behind. The Tier 8 blessing required 10 mythic flower tiers to activate, and it was already the final blessing. Moreover, even though the flower fairy didn't have any abilities and her stats had been reduced, that didn't mean she couldn't recover. The flower fairy could still recover her original power and abilities. However, it would take some time for her to recover. However, Zhao Fu felt that it was all worth it, as the flower fairy was a pleasant surprise. Even now, he did not know what kind of existence she was, but as the ultimate reward, she definitely would not be weak. Can you tell me some information? Zhao Fu looked at the smiling flower fairy and could not help but ask. He wanted to obtain some information about her so that he could understand her better. However, the young girl raised her head and looked at Zhao Fu with pure eyes, as if she didn't know what Zhao Fu was talking about or what Zhao Fu meant. Seeing this, Zhao Fu felt quite confused and asked a few more questions. In the end, he could only helplessly say that the young girl had no memories at all, and her mind was completely blank. She was like a newborn child and could not speak. After thinking for a while, Zhao Fu called Asani over and told her to take care of the flower fairy. Their personalities were quite similar, and they were about the same age, so it would be quite easy for them to get along with each other. The little worm had always been sticking to the flower fairy, so it also went over. Zhao Fu thought about it, and understood why the little worm liked the flower fairy so much. Even though the little worm was only a worm right now, it would become a butterfly in the future. Butterflies liked flowers, so there was nothing wrong with it liking the flower fairy. It was about to be 12 a.m., and the ghost event was about to begin. Zhao Fu waited next to the exchange stone steel. Because time was of the essence, he could only deal with the items he had obtained earlier later. Now that he was in the ghost world, Zhao Fu would be able to exchange for the profession he wanted. Zhao Fu had been waiting for an entire day, and he felt quite nervous. Now, the 3 Saint Great equipment for the 10,000 Flower Festival had already been exchanged for. Qin Zhao was not the only one who had received great opportunities. Others had also received great opportunities. Even though he had not exchanged for anything during the 10,000 Flower Festival, Zhao Fu was already quite satisfied. He had obtained all sorts of rare treasures. Suddenly, the entire world fell silent, as if it was deathly silent. All creatures instinctively sensed something and curled up in fear. Traces of ghostly qi continuously rose up from the ground, and a cold and eerie aura spread throughout the world. The bright moon in the sky gradually became gray and gave off a ghostly aura, making it seem like a ghostly moon. Roar, roar, roar. Mournful howls sounded throughout the world as terrifying ghosts crawled up from the ground, and ghosts flew about in the sky. They covered the entire sky, and the entire world seemed to have become a world of ghosts. The second stage of the Ghost Festival was the Ghost World, and there were hundreds of times more ghosts than the previous stages. There were ghosts everywhere, and there was no need to search for them like before. However, it was also more dangerous, and if one did not have any strength, they would definitely die to ghosts. Zhao Fu stood in front of the exchange stone steel. The instant the Ghost Festival began, Zhao Fu's massive flower tier points were converted into ghost points. Zhao Fu instantly exchanged for the 2 professions, spending 1.4 billion ghost points and leaving nearly 100 million ghost points. Zhao Fu had long since decided on these 2 professions, Ghost People and Ghost Eyes. Ghost People was the most powerful profession out of the 3, and Zhao Fu definitely wanted it. As for why he chose Ghost Eyes, he felt that even though it was only ranked 3rd, its detection stats were quite useful. Now that he only had so many ghost points, Zhao Fu could only choose 2 professions that suited Qin the most. The remaining Ghost God Soldier profession could only be exchanged for with the ghost points he had obtained today. Of course, Zhao Fu did not want to give up and had to obtain it. Zhao Fu went to the City God Temple and found that the City God, Dark North Red Autumn, the black and white impermanences, as well as the minotaurs and horse faces, were already waiting there. The city god temple had received countless offerings and had reached level 10. As the city god, Dark North Red Autumn completely obeyed Zhao Fu. After all, it was Zhao Fu who had made him the city god, not the underworld. He could now condense a 100-meter-tall city god statue that had powerful evil-suppressing power, and he could use coins to hire 10,000 minotaurs and horseface soldiers. Of course, Zhao Fu had come here to deal with the ghost world. Back then, Zhao Fu had used the 10,000 ghost warding talismans and reversal talismans to attract countless ghosts and continuously kill them to obtain a large number of ghost points. Now, Zhao Fu did not have evil warding talisman and reversal talisman, and even if he did, he would not use them because their effects would be too weak. Chapter 8:14. However, Zhao Fu had an even better idea, which was to rely on the black and white impermanences. After all, the black and white impermanences came from the Hell World, and even though they were part of the Death Race, they specialized in suppressing ghosts, so they were quite suitable to deal with ghosts. The black and white impermanences came from a large family in the Hell World and had many methods, such as the terrifying forbidden technique from before, which was summoning the 6 paths demon images. Everyone had witnessed the destructive power of that technique. It was a pity that he had been instantly killed by the Sky Desolation Azure Dragon, and the 6 paths demon images had memorized Zhao Fu's aura, making it impossible to summon him again. Otherwise, Qin would have another powerful method. Your Majesty. As soon as Zhao Fu was carried into the city god temple, everyone knelt down. Zhao Fu lightly nodded and looked at everyone as he asked, "Are you ready? Did you miss anything?" "Your Majesty, don't worry, we're ready. If anything goes wrong, you can punish us," He Xiaojia said as she flirtatiously smiled. She emphasized the word punish, and Bai Xiaoya's face became slightly red as she stood there. Zhao Fu rolled his eyes at her and did not say anything as he brought them to the Great Wall. The Great Wall had already made preparations to ward off ghosts, as the Ghost Festival itself was a very dangerous festival. In order to avoid any unnecessary deaths, the residents did not participate and instead stayed indoors. Many of the generals had already arrived, and seeing that everything was ready, Zhao Fu ordered people to start moving. Soldiers started to pour buckets of blood onto the Great Wall. The blood was mainly from beasts, but there were also some humans, filling 100,000 buckets. As the blood was poured, the stench of blood became incredibly dense. Following this, a magic formation was activated, causing the blood to roil as traces of blood red qi rose up. This was called the blood-devouring magic formation. Even though these ghosts were all products of activity, they still retained the habits of ordinary ghosts and had a strong desire for blood. The blood-devouring magic formation's effect was to increase the attractiveness of blood and attract countless ghosts. Roar! 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 As soon as the blood-devouring magic formation was activated, countless ghosts smelled the scent of blood and howled as they excitedly rushed over, as if there was the most delicious food. The tens of thousands upon thousands of ghosts quickly converged into a massive ghost tide that covered an area of 500 kilometers in every direction, surging toward the Great Wall like a raging river. At the same time, the wandering specters in the sky were attracted by the blood and began to converge, creating a massive wave of ghosts that filled the sky and blotted out the sun as they surged toward the Great Wall. The two waves of ghosts merged into one, surging toward the Great Wall with mountain-toppling, sea-draining energy. Heaven-shaking, earth-shattering, and terrifying fluctuations spread out for tens of thousands of kilometers in all directions. At this moment, Qin had already made his move. Within a massive square formation, city god Dark North Red Autumn stood at the center, while the black and white impermanences stood on either side. Outside of the formation stood 10,000 ox heads and horse faces, while at the outermost layer stood countless Qin soldiers. There were 100 million of them. Wu, city god Qin, Dark North Red Autumn, has received orders from His Highness Qin to open the Ghost Gate. Boundless ghost-capturing power. assist me, and return peace to the world." Dark North Red Autumn roared as he gave off waves of golden light. He became 100 meters tall and was filled with a dignified and solemn aura, making him seem like a true god. Countless traces of ghostly chi rushed over, but they dissipated without being able to resist at all. The black and white impermanences cut open their palms and pressed them against the ground, causing the massive magic formation on the ground to start to spin, and a massive wave of cold and eerie aura spread out. The 10,000 ox heads and horse faces exploded out with powerful auras, and their bodies gave off countless traces of ghostly chi as they simultaneously yelled, "We are the ghost servants of the underworld, and we have received orders from His Highness Qin to use our bodies to invite the Ghost Gate to descend." Boom! After the 10,000 ox heads and horse faces yelled, their ghostly chi was instantly absorbed by the magic formation on the ground. An explosion sounded out as ghostly chi from the underworld erupted out of the ground like a volcano, shooting into the sky with massive power and forming a massive pillar of ghostly chi. The surrounding Qin soldiers were already prepared, and they all squatted down and pressed their hands against the ground, sending all of their power into the magic formation. Boom! 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 Explosions sounded out as the pillar of ghostly chi continuously expanded. It was now hundreds of thousands of meters wide, and the dense and eerie ghostly chi caused people to tremble. Within a massive pillar of ghostly chi, a massive stone gate gradually appeared. There were countless ghosts carved on the massive stone gate, and it looked incredibly ancient. It gave off a dignified and powerful aura, and it gave off a mountain-like might. Seeing the massive stone gate in the sky, the countless ghosts rushing toward Qin instinctively felt terror, and some of them even wanted to escape. "Ghost Gate open!" Dark North Red Autumn raised his spear and roared, and the stone gate in the sky, which gave off a terrifying might, gradually opened. A massive suction force exploded out like a black hole, seeming as if the entire world was going to be sucked in. Countless ghosts' excitement turned into horror, and they quickly retreated. However, they were still forcefully sucked into the stone door. At the same time, massive rocks were carried into the sky like gravel, and trees were uprooted and sucked into the stone door. The scene was extremely terrifying. No matter if it was the ordinary ghosts or the terrifying sky ghosts, they were unable to resist at all and were all sucked into the stone gate. The stone gate was like a gaping mouth that devoured everything. At the same time, there was a barrier around the stone door that sucked the ghosts in. The ghost treasure sacks were cut off and fell to the ground, and it seemed as if it was raining sacks. However, in Zhao Fu's eyes, it was raining money. These ghost treasure sacks piled up into a mountain, and even if they were useless to Zhao Fu, he could sell them for countless money. Zhao Fu's ghost points madly increased, and soon he would be able to exchange for the remaining profession. The terrifying ripples attracted countless powerful ghosts, and there were at least hundreds of ghost generals. These ghost generals had the power of the slaughter ghost from before, which was the power of the slaughtering ghost sword in Zhao Fu's hand. These monsters' levels were quite high, and their intelligence was not low, so they naturally would not get too close. If the ghost gate was too far away, it would not be effective against ghosts. As such, they needed Qin's city lord to kill them. However, these ghost generals only had the power of a basic city lord, and some were even a bit weaker. It would be no problem for a great city lord to kill them. Chapter 8:15. These ghost commanders all looked like muscular men. They had a pair of pure gray eyes and were clad in armor with ghastly chi around them. They held different weapons, and both their armor and weapons were gray. Moreover, they were so gray that they glowed, giving off an eerie coldness. They only had the strength of a city lord, and if it was before, they would have been able to sweep through Qin City. However, if it wasn't for the fact that they were too far away, Zhao Fu would have been able to deal with them by himself. Zhao Fu looked at a sword-wielding ghost commander and took out the Sin Dragon sword. A massive and sharp sword light gave off a terrifying sword wind as it slashed towards the Ghost Commander. The Ghost Commander roared and gave off countless traces of ghostly chi. It raised its sword with both hands and vigorously slashed out a gray sword light toward Zhao Fu. Bang! An explosion sounded out as the two sword lights collided. The gray sword light was shattered by Zhao Fu's sword light, turning into motes of gray light and dissipating. Zhao Fu's sword light continued towards the Ghost Commander. The Ghost Commander was given a big fright and blocked with its sword, but it was still sent flying 10 or so meters. By now, the Ghost Commander knew that it was not a match for Zhao Fu, so it started to run. Zhao Fu chased up and ferociously slashed out, sending the Ghost Commander flying again. He did not give the Ghost Commander any chance to retaliate and continued to chase after it, slicing off its head. After the Ghost Commander died, 3 items dropped. The first was a ghost treasure bag, which was a small gray cloth bag. It would most likely be able to drop a low-grade, legendary-grade equipment. The second was a square-shaped stone that was 15 centimeters wide. This stone was a complete city god stone. The previous city god stones had all been fragments, and they could only be constructed with 10 fragments. However, this was a complete city god stone, so there was no need to collect 10 fragments. However, its quality was quite low, and it was only a silver-grade city god temple. Zhao Fu was quite familiar with these 2 items, so he did not look at them too much. However, the third item made Zhao Fu feel quite curious. It was a palm-sized seal that was gray in color and seemed to be made of jade. It felt cold to the touch, and there was a Tao Tai engraved on it. It was incredibly lively, and the seal itself gave off traces of ghostly chi. It gave off a powerful aura, and no one dared to approach it. Ghost Commander Seal. A Ghost Commander Seal, a treasure of the underworld that is formed from the convergence of boundless Yin Chi. It can command 100,000 Yin soldiers to work for it in conquering the underworld. Seeing the Ghost Commander Seal, Zhao Fu could not stop himself from laughing out. This was definitely a prized artifact. It would be very beneficial to Qin. Ghost soldiers were transformed from dead soldiers. Because they were transformed into ghosts, they no longer had their memories from when they were alive. They only had battle instincts, and they were extremely powerful. Zhao Fu could turn Qin's dead soldiers into ghost soldiers and use the Ghost Commander Seal to command them. Although they didn't have any memories or emotions now, as their strength increased, they would recover one day. This was equivalent to living another life. With this, Qin's dead soldiers could be turned into ghost soldiers and continue to work for Qin. This would make up for the regret that Zhao Fu felt towards their deaths. This was definitely a treasure that would be extremely useful to Great Qin. People would definitely die in battle. This was something that no one could change. However, with this Ghost Commander Seal, Great Qin would be able to preserve many of its soldiers and reduce the number of casualties. Zhao Fu smiled as he put away the 3 treasures and looked at Bai Qi and Gania. They had also successfully killed Ghost Commanders and obtained 3 treasures, and the 3 of them returned to the city walls. Zhao Fu looked at the Ghost Generals expectantly to see what treasures they would drop, but he was slightly disappointed. They only dropped ghost treasure chests and city godstone shards, and there were no ghost seals. However, a Ghost Commander Seal could allow one to command 100,000 ghost soldiers, so they should be satisfied. It would be too greedy and unrealistic to hope that a few hundred ghost generals would drop it. The surrounding ghosts were all devoured by the Ghost Gate, and the scene looked like a whale sucking in water. The countless ghosts were unable to resist at all, and the ghost treasure pouches were piled up into small mountains. There were perhaps hundreds of millions of them. This completely made up for Zhao Fu's disappointment. After this ghost festival, Qin would once again become rich, and all sorts of materials, skills, and equipment would increase exponentially. Because there were no more ghosts, the Ghost Gate was temporarily closed. However, the stone gate that gave off a terrifying might did not disappear, and everyone continued to maintain it as they waited for the next wave of ghosts to come towards Qin. Zhao Fu had killed so many creatures and collected 100,000 bottles of blood to create a blood-devouring magic formation. Its effects were not limited to this. It would continuously attract ghosts and as the bloody aura spread out, even more ghosts would be attracted over. As expected, after a while, a large number of ghosts ferociously flooded towards the city walls. The 10,000 ghosts were like a tsunami, causing all of the creatures in the region to feel incredibly terrified. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the massive stone gate was once again opened, exploding out with a powerful suction force. Countless ghosts were sucked into the stone gate, and the ghost treasure pouches once again fell like rain. If anyone else saw this, they would be incredibly shocked. It would be incredibly difficult for others to obtain a treasure pouch, and they would have to risk their lives. However, Qin had not suffered any casualties, and the ghost treasure pouches fell like rain, making others feel incredibly envious. A look of delight appeared on Zhao Fu's face because he had discovered another 2 ghost commanders. At the same time, there were 200 or 300 ghost generals heading towards Qin. Without needing Zhao Fu to give any orders, everyone started to move. Ordinary city lords were responsible for killing ghost generals, while Zhao Fu, Bai Qi, and Gania were responsible for killing ghost commanders and obtaining ghost commander seals. Zhao Fu obtained another 2 ghost commander seals, giving him a total of 5 ghost commanders. Qin could now convert 500,000 ghost soldiers and make them obey Qin. Countless ghosts were once again devoured by the ghost gates, and the ghost gates temporarily closed, waiting for the next wave of ghosts to arrive. A while later, another wave of ghosts was attracted over. What made Zhao Fu even more delighted was that apart from the 4 ghost commanders, there was an even more powerful ghost that was covered in ghostly qi. Only its blood-red eyes could be seen, and it gave off a terrifying aura. This was a ghost that was even more powerful than a ghost commander, which was the Ghost Marquis. It was a marquis of the underworld and had the strength of 10 city lords. It could fight to a draw with Bai Qi and Gania, so Zhao Fu had to personally deal with it. Zhao Fu turned into a ray of light and shot towards the Ghost Marquis, while the others charged at the ghost commanders and ghost generals. The stone gate continued to open, and another battle began. Roar! The Ghost Marquis was already incredibly powerful, and Zhao Fu became serious. He rushed up, and the Sin Dragon sword gave off a brilliant sword light as he raised his hand, and a massive water dragon flew towards the Ghost Marquis. Bang! Chapter 816. At that moment, Zhao Fu shot through the water like a flying sword and arrived in front of the Ghost Monkey. He raised his sword with both hands and gave off a heaven-splitting aura as he slashed down towards the Ghost Monkey. Shing! The Ghost Monkey gripped his spear with both hands and blocked in front of him. The Sin Dragon sword collided with the spear, resulting in the sound of metal clashing. The 2 of them clashed, resulting in a shockwave that caused the ground to collapse. Zhao Fu gripped his sword with both hands and pressed down on the Ghost Monkey. The Ghost Monkey roared and exploded out with an even denser ghostly qi as he raised his hands and sent Zhao Fu flying back. Seeing Zhao Fu fly backwards, the Ghost Monkey grasped this opportunity and gripped his spear with one hand. He stabbed out, sending out a sharp gray aura that contained shocking piercing power toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's gaze became cold as he slashed out with his sword, sending out an arc of light that destroyed the gray aura, causing it to dissipate into traces of gray aura. Huh! The Ghost Monkey roared as he stamped off the ground, causing the ground to crack. His body shot toward Zhao Fu like a cannonball, his spear stabbing towards Zhao Fu's throat. Zhao Fu sent his Emperor's power into the Sin Dragon sword, and a clear sword hum sounded out as the Sin Dragon sword gave off a large amount of sword light, causing a sharp sword wind to blow out. Zhao Fu swept out horizontally, the Sin Dragon sword giving off a brilliant sword light and a boundless sword qi as it slashed out like a bolt of lightning. A massive destructive power blasted out, and the Ghost Monkey was slashed into the ground, opening up a large crater. Arc! Within the crater, the Ghost Monkey seemed to be completely enraged, and the ghostly qi around his body shrunk, revealing his pale white skin. His aura was even more powerful than before, and his might was something that ordinary city lords would find difficult to defend against. Boom! The ghost monkey swept out with his spear, sending out a massive crescent that blasted through the air toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu flipped in the air, dodging this crescent. He stepped off the air and shot towards the ghost monkey like a meteor, sending a massive amount of power into the Sin Dragon Sword. Roar! 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 3 massive dragons' roars sounded out as the Sin Dragon Sword instantly condensed into 3 100-meter-long water dragons that gave off shocking auras and terrifying power as they slammed towards the ghost monkey. Boom! An explosion rang out in all directions as the 3 water dragons smashed into the monkey. For a moment, the ground collapsed, and a crater that was dozens of meters wide appeared. Smoke billowed in all directions, obscuring one's vision. Suddenly, thousands of gray swallows flew out from the smoke-filled region toward Zhao Fu. They were incredibly fast, and they arrived in front of Zhao Fu in the blink of an eye. Zhao Fu was given a big fright and hurriedly unleashed his emperor's domain. Bang, bang, bang. The flying swallows slammed into the black dragon inscription barrier, resulting in massive explosions. Each flying swallow contained enough power to kill a Stage 1 soldier, and thousands of flying swallows exploded, causing the sky to be covered by a gray light and ghostly chi. The ghostly chi slowly dissipated, and Zhao Fu stood in the air, completely unscathed. However, just as his emperor's domain shattered, it turned into countless motes of black light and disappeared. A figure suddenly appeared in front of Zhao Fu, stabbing towards Zhao Fu with a spear. Zhao Fu blocked with his sword, blocking the ghost monkey's spear. Just as he was about to attack, the ghostly chi behind the ghost monkey condensed and a ghostly image appeared, slamming towards Zhao Fu and sending him flying 10 or so meters. Zhao Fu felt an immense pain in his chest, as if he had been hit by a hammer. Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and raised the Sin Dragon Sword, causing a sword light to shoot into the sky. Countless traces of water vapor gathered together, forming water swords. The 10,000 swords hung in the air, giving off a massive sword aura. Swish, swish, swish! Zhao Fu slashed out with the Sin Dragon Sword, causing the countless water swords to descend. The ghost monkey was given a big fright and unleashed a gray energy barrier. Bang! The countless water swords descended, causing the gray energy barrier to explode. The ghost monkey was given a big fright and continuously spun his spear, making it look like a spinning disc, blocking the countless water swords. A searing white light shot into the sky, causing the ghostly chi in the surroundings to melt like snow under the scorching sun. Zhao Fu raised the seraph sword, and a 6-winged seraph appeared behind him, giving off a holy white light. The seraph sword continuously trembled and gave off a brilliant sword light. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed out, sending out a massive white sword light that sent the ghost monkey flying back and heavily crashing to the ground. A gash appeared on the ghost monkey's armor, and ghostly chi flowed out, causing the ghost monkey's aura to weaken as if it had been heavily injured. The seraph sword was much easier to use. Holy light energy could suppress ghosts, and Zhao Fu should have used the seraph sword long ago. Ark! The ghost monkey roared as it stood up. Zhao Fu did not give a chance and rushed up, slashing out again. The heavily injured ghost monkey was once again heavily injured, and in the end, its throat was pierced by Zhao Fu's sword and it fell to the ground dead. Its body dissipated into ghostly chi, but it left behind 4 items. The first 2 items were a ghost treasure bag and a complete gold Grade City Godstone. Zhao Fu already knew about these 2 items, so there was no need to explain them. What Zhao Fu was curious about was the 3rd item. It was a square seal that was slightly larger than the Ghost Commander seal. It was also made of gray jade and gave off a chilling aura. However, there was a ghost flood dragon carved on it, and it was incredibly exquisite. The ghost flood dragon seemed to have a life of its own, and it gave off an evil and savage aura. Ghost Marquee Seal. A Ghost Marquee Seal that represents the ruler of an area. It contains Ghost Marquee Chi, and it is a treasure that commands the underworld. It is formed from boundless Shi, and it can command 1 million ghost soldiers to serve it in conquering the underworld. The Ghost Marquis seal was evidently more powerful than the Ghost Commander seal. Firstly, the might it gave off and the quality of the ghostly chi was more powerful than the Ghost Commander seal. Moreover, the Ghost Marquis seal had an innate advantage that suppressed the Ghost Commander seal. Moreover, the Ghost Marquis seal could command 1 million ghost soldiers, which was 10 times more powerful than the Ghost Commander seal. It was equivalent to 10 Ghost Commander seals. The final item was a tombstone that was 6 meters tall and 5 meters wide. It was made of a tough rock and gave off traces of ghostly chi. It gave off an oppressive aura, and there were 3 words engraved on it. Marquis Yan's tomb. Ghost Marquis tombstone, the tombstone of a marquis. It has absorbed a large amount of Shi and killing chi to form a treasure. It has a natural ability to absorb Shi and killing chi, and it also has a Ghost Marquis domain. The ghost soldiers here will obtain even greater power. Zhao Fu couldn't help but feel delighted because he had wanted to create ghost soldiers. This Ghost Marquis tombstone had the ability to gather Shi and killing chi, and it also had the Ghost Marquis domain. The ghost soldiers here would definitely be more powerful than ordinary ghost soldiers. With the Ghost Marquis tombstone, Zhao Fu would naturally nurture even more powerful ghost soldiers to help Qin sweep across the world. Chapter 817. At that moment, Zhao Fu smiled as he stood in front of the exchange stone steel. He had obtained enough ghost points to exchange for the final profession, and seeing that the ghost god soldier had not been taken yet, Zhao Fu was naturally quite happy. After choosing to exchange for the ghost god soldier, a gray profession changed stone steel appeared in front of Zhao Fu. Now that the 3 professions were in Qin City, Zhao Fu felt much more at ease. However, tomorrow was the second stage of the Divine Fish Festival in the Fish Spirit World. During this festival, one could exchange for special cities, which are the Celestial City, Sword Mountain, and Holy God City. Zhao Fu really wanted these 3 cities, so he couldn't relax during the Ghost Festival. He had to continue working hard and prepare enough divine fish points for tomorrow's Ghost Festival. The only thing that Zhao Fu was worried about was that the Ghost Festival was a group event and people of the same faction could trade with each other. However, the Divine Fish Festival was an individual event, and divine fish points could not be traded. Zhao Fu wondered how ghost points and divine fish points could be exchanged. Now, Zhao Fu had all of Qin City's ghost points, and if he converted them into divine fish points, even if the ratio was 10:1, Zhao Fu would be able to easily take down the 3 cities. Zhao Fu was worried that he wouldn't be able to convert all of his ghost points into divine fish points. That was most likely the case. However many ghost points Zhao Fu obtained, he would be able to convert them into divine fish points, and the ghost points that others gave him would be useless. That was most likely the case, as the ghost points required to exchange for 3 cities were simply too low. The second stage of the Divine Fish Festival, the Fish Spirit World, was most likely an individual event. Zhao Fu felt that he needed to kill more ghosts to obtain more ghost points. That way, he would be safer. After exchanging for his profession, Zhao Fu returned to the Great Wall and started to kill ghosts. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and soon it was 7 p.m. again. The sky was still dark and gloomy, and after another round of battles, Zhao Fu's body was slightly injured because he had used all of his strength to kill the ghosts. Over the past 10 or so hours, Zhao Fu had killed a total of 136 ghost generals, 18 ghost commanders, and 5 ghost marquises. There were countless other ghosts, making it impossible to count them all. As such, the ghost points he obtained were quite shocking. In actuality, killing a ghost marquis gave him 10 million ghost points. However, the number of ghost monkeys was still relatively small, and their strength was valiant, so it wasn't easy to kill them. At this time, Zhao Fu sensed something. He looked up at the sky and saw a gray cloud moving towards Qin with a huge, gloomy aura. Rumble, a massive explosion sounded out, causing the ground to tremble. Ghost soldiers wearing ghostly armor and holding ghostly weapons rushed towards Great Qin. Of course, there were other ghosts as well, and they formed a massive wave that gave off a shocking aura. What caught Zhao Fu's attention was that behind the wave of ghosts, there was a king's chariot. This chariot was pulled by 9 soul horses, and there was a person sitting on top of the chariot. This person was wearing a grayish-gold black dragon robe and had a crown on his head. There was a ghost sword at his waist, and he gave off a king's aura. He was incredibly noble and terrifying, causing countless people to feel fear. The other ghosts instinctively treated him with respect. It's definitely a Ghost King ghost. Apart from this Ghost King, there were also 4 ghost marquises, many ghost commanders, and ghost generals. Zhao Fu chose to deal with the Ghost King, while Bai Qi and Gania dealt with the ghost marquises. Because it was likely that they would end in a draw, Zhao Fu sent some city lords to support them. The others dealt with the ghost generals and ghost commanders. Now, Qin had 1,400 or so city lords, which was much more powerful than the other side, so there was no need to worry too much. The ghost gate once again opened, and its massive mouth exploded out with a shocking attractive force, devouring all ghosts. Zhao Fu took out the seraph sword and slashed out with a searing sword light towards the Ghost King. The Ghost King drew the ghost soldier at its waist and met Zhao Fu's attack. Boom! The searing white light and eerie, ghostly qi collided, resulting in a shocking explosion. A terrifying shock wave blasted out, and all of the ghostly qi in the surrounding 10,000 kilometers seemed to be wiped out. A region without ghostly qi appeared, and the dark clouds also disappeared. Because of the massive shock wave, both sides were forced back 100 meters, and Zhao Fu's expression became incredibly serious. This Ghost King's power definitely surpassed that of the aquatic Beast King. Xing! A clear sword hum sounded out as the Ghost King's gaze became cold and gave off an eerie killing intent. It slashed out with its sword, causing massive amounts of ghostly qi to flow out and turn into a ferocious ghost dragon that shot toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu continuously sent his power into the seraph sword, causing it to continuously tremble and give off a clear sword hum. Rays of blinding white light shined out, illuminating the surroundings, and a shocking holy light energy was released. Roar! The ghost dragon opened its evil mouth and gave off a terrifying aura as it roared and rushed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu slashed out, and a blinding sword of light seemed to be able to tear apart space. A searing white sword light slashed out, cutting the ghost dragon in half from head to tail. Zhao Fu's eyes widened, and he looked down at the ghost dragon. However, the 2 halves of the ghost dragon did not dissipate, and they instead turned into 2 waves of ghostly qi that slammed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu had not expected this and was sent flying. Zhao Fu stabilized his body in the air, and a trace of blood leaked out of his lips. The Ghost King once again attacked, and its sword gave off a terrifying sword light as it slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu dodged to the side, avoiding this attack, and the golden pupil in his left eye stared at the Ghost King as it started to spin. Immediately, countless chains shot out from the space around the Ghost King, and there were over 10,000 of them. This gave the Ghost King a big fright, and it roared as a powerful aura exploded out. The Ghost King spun its sword, and an extremely sharp gray sword ring slashed out. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of metal clanging could be heard as the countless chains shooting towards the Ghost King were instantly cut into pieces by the sharp sword ring and fell to the ground. However, at that moment, a figure suddenly appeared behind the Ghost King and slashed out with its sword. A searing white light exploded out, and the Ghost King was slashed back to the ground like a meteor, opening up a 100-meter wide crater in the ground. This caused the ground to tremble, and the shock waves madly blasted out. Sand and pebbles were sent flying, and trees vigorously swayed. As Zhao Fu and the Ghost King fought, the 6 1,000-meter-tall figures gave off heaven-toppling ghostly qi. The massive might they gave off caused all living creatures to feel terror, and it felt as if space itself was going to be torn apart. Things that did not belong to this world had actually appeared in this world. The six massive beings seemed to sense something and walked in a certain direction. One of the massive beings passed by a system main city and stretched out its hand, crushing a city lord. This city lord was as weak as an ant. Boom! Chapter 8:18. Back at the battlefield, Zhao Fu ferociously slashed the Ghost King back into the ground, opening up a massive crater. The Ghost King wretchedly climbed up, and there was a gash on its body that gave off ghostly chi, but quickly healed. The Ghost King's gray-white eyes looked at Zhao Fu, and the killing intent in its eyes was dozens of times more intense than before. It definitely wanted to tear Zhao Fu to shreds. At that moment, the Ghost King tilted its sword and a gray energy barrier spread out. The Ghost King unleashed its Ghost King domain, which was 10 meters wide. With its domain, the Ghost King rushed into the sky, its sword giving off a terrifying ghostly light. Zhao Fu also unleashed his Emperor's domain, which was also 10 meters wide, and he gave off a boundless aura as he rushed towards the Ghost King. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the two domains collided. Neither side belonged to the other, and neither side took a step back. The Ghost King roared as ghostly chi continuously rose up from its body. The ghostly light from the sword in its hand became even more intense, and the Ghost King domain also became stronger. Zhao Fu's pupils constricted, and he also activated his body's power. Massive amounts of Emperor's power entered his domain, causing the two domains to clash even more powerfully. As the two sides continued to clash, the shock waves turned into wild gales. Crack! A clear cracking sound rang out as a few cracks appeared on the Ghost King's domain. After all, it was only a king's domain, while Zhao Fu's Emperor's domain gave it an innate advantage. Crack! 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 More and more cracks appeared on the Ghost King's domain, causing the Ghost King's expression to fall. It sent even more ghostly power into its sword, causing it to give off an incredibly cold and eerie sword light that seemed to be able to injure souls. Bang! An explosion sounded out as the Ghost King's domain shattered into countless pieces, and a few cracks also appeared on Zhao Fu's Emperor's domain. Shing! The instant that the king's domain shattered, the Ghost King slashed out with his sword, sending out a massive sword light towards Zhao Fu's Emperor's domain. The shocking sword light split the Emperor's domain in half and left a long gash in the ground. However, at this moment, Zhao Fu, who had dodged to the side, slashed out with his sword. A searing sword light flashed out, sending the Ghost King flying back over 100 meters. The Ghost King coughed up a mouthful of gray liquid, and it looked like it had been heavily injured. Roar! The Ghost King furiously roared, and the surrounding ghost chi was instantly absorbed. The Ghost King's body continuously expanded, and his muscles bulged. In the end, the dragon robe on his upper body was torn apart. In the end, it formed a 10-meter-tall ghost. It was covered with powerful muscles, and its eyes were blood red. It had a head of black hair that spread out like a lion's head, and it held a massive 7-meter-long sword. The Ghost King's aura was now 10 times more terrifying than before, and he was using all of his strength. He gripped his sword with both hands and slashed out with a terrifying sword wind toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu also vigorously slashed out, sending out a shocking sword wind towards the Ghost King. Bang! The two massive sword winds collided and exploded, turning into an even more powerful shockwave that blasted out in all directions. The Ghost King once again moved. Its body blurred and appeared in front of Zhao Fu, and it continuously slashed out with its 7-meter-long sword, sending out terrifying sword lights that left behind afterimages. Its attacks were incredibly ferocious and berserk, and it did not give its opponent any time to breathe. Zhao Fu looked at the Ghost King, and his eyes lit up. As such, Zhao Fu could only continuously dodge and defend while continuously retreating. These attacks were incredibly ferocious, but they definitely would not last for long. Zhao Fu held on with great difficulty, and a few wounds appeared on his body from his sword chi. In the end, he was able to defend against this wave of ferocious attacks. The instant that the Ghost King's attacks slowed down, Zhao Fu sent all of his power into the seraph sword and vigorously slashed out, sending out a blinding white light that sent the Ghost King flying 1,000 meters. By now, the Ghost King looked quite wretched. Its chest was charred black, as if it had been burned, and the ghostly chi that it gave off gradually became weaker. Roar! The immense pain caused the Ghost King to give a heart-rending roar, and it seemed to go berserk. An even more massive wave of ghostly chi spread out, covering the surrounding 10,000 meters. Clang, clang, clang within the ghostly fog, the sounds of weapons could be heard, and the dense, ghostly chi became thinner, revealing ghost soldiers. There were over 10,000 of them, and they gave off a powerful and austere aura. The Ghost King swung the seraph sword, and the 10,000 ghost soldiers gathered together and roared as they rushed at Zhao Fu, giving off a shocking aura. However, Zhao Fu did not feel any fear. At that moment, he took out the sky demon sword and raised it with his left hand, pointing it towards the sky. A soul-devouring demonic light shot into the sky, and a black hole appeared in the gloomy sky, from which countless traces of demonic chi flowed out. Roar! Roar! Roars suddenly sounded out as countless demons rushed out, giving off evil and ferocious auras as they rushed at the countless ghost soldiers. The two sides quickly clashed, resulting in massive explosions. Both sides started to ferociously fight, and the ghost soldiers and demons continuously died. At that moment, Zhao Fu suddenly disappeared and reappeared behind the Ghost King. He raised the seraph sword in his right hand, and a holy pillar of white light shot into the sky. The six-winged seraph's voice sounded out from behind him, and it spread its wings, causing countless motes of light to descend. This gave the Ghost King a big fright, and it hurriedly dodged to the side. However, at that moment, Zhao Fu slashed out, causing a massive white sword light to flood out and devour the Ghost King's body. Bang! A figure covered in black smoke fell from the sky. It was the Ghost King. Its body seemed to have been burned, and there were still traces of white sword chi on its body that stabbed into its body like sharp blades. By now, the Ghost King had not died yet, and its powerful constitution was quickly healing its body. Zhao Fu would not give it a chance to recover, and he chopped off its head. The Ghost King instantly died, and its body turned into ghostly chi before disappearing. At the same time, it dropped 5 items. The first was a ghost treasure bag, the second was a complete legendary Great City Godstone, and the third was a ghost jade seal. It was even bigger than the Ghost Marquee seal, and gave off an even more powerful aura. It gave off a trace of a king's might, and there was a ferocious ghost dragon engraved on it. Ghost King Seal, a seal held by the Ghost King. It is the ruler of the 10 Directions ghost lands, and it is proof that all ghosts submit to it. It is a treasure that commands the underworld, and it is formed from boundless yin chi. It can command 10 million ghost soldiers to serve it in conquering the underworld. The effects of the Ghost King Seal were simply too shocking. It could command 10 million ghost soldiers, and it contained a king's ghostly chi, which naturally suppressed the Ghost Marquee seal. Chapter 819. The fourth item was also a gravestone. It was also made of rock and was incredibly tough, but it was 9 meters tall and 2 meters wide. There were dragon inscriptions around the gravestone, and at the center of the gravestone were 3 large words: King Shi's Gravestone, Ghost King Gravestone, the Ghost King's Gravestone. It has absorbed a large amount of yin chi and killing chi to form a treasure. It has a natural ability to absorb yin chi and killing chi, and it also has a Ghost King domain. The ghost soldiers here will be affected by the king's aura and will become even more powerful. The Ghost King Gravestone's effects were naturally more powerful than the Ghost Marquee, and the ghost soldiers here would be affected by the king's ghostly chi. Anything related to a king was proof of strength. After being affected by the king's aura, The ghost soldiers would be many times more powerful than ordinary ghost soldiers. The fifth item was a gray crystal ball that was as big as a fist. It was very heavy and seemed to weigh 500 kilograms. At the same time, it gave off a cold and eerie aura that was even colder than the Ghost King's seal. Ghost World Pearl, a treasure pearl that was nurtured by the 5 elements of the underworld. It has been nourished by the heaven and earth essence chi and has formed its own space. It contains a trace of origin energy and is a rare treasure. After looking at the description, Zhao Fu sent his consciousness into the Ghost World Pearl and found that there was a very large space inside that was 100 kilometers wide. There were mountains, streams, trees, flowers, grass, and birds. Apart from these things giving off a trace of yin qi, everything else was the same as a normal world. Boom, 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 boom. Zhao Fu had no idea how to use the Ghost World Pearls, but at that moment, the 6 massive beings with heaven-toppling auras descended. Their massive, ghostly chi swept out like an ocean, and the terrifying might caused the heavens and earth to fall silent, as all creatures were shocked. Zhao Fu had no idea how to use the Ghost World Pearls. Sensing these 6 terrifying auras, Zhao Fu looked incredibly shocked. His heart and body felt incredibly cold, and he looked at the 6 massive figures in front of him. They're actually the 6 paths demon images. How is this possible? The Ghost event has actually released these 6 monsters? Are they here to destroy the world? Isn't that a bit too serious? Or did something happen to the event? Zhao Fu quickly thought. He had never thought that such a thing would happen. The 6 paths demon images had descended into the human world. This was simply too terrifying. Zhao Fu was also given a big fright because he knew how powerful the 6 paths demon images were. Zhao Fu had once ordered them to open the 6 paths of reincarnation and lead countless ghosts into the human world to cleanse the human world, but the Sky Desolation Azure Dragon had stopped them. The 6 paths demon images' cold and ferocious gazes all gathered on Zhao Fu's body. The 6 paths demon images had a clear memory of Zhao Fu, and they were extremely familiar with his aura. Sensing his aura, they walked over. Before, the 6 of them had been bound by Zhao Fu's countless chains and had been forcefully ordered around by him. They were the supreme existences of the underworld, and they were naturally infuriated to be humiliated like this. In the end, their clones had even been killed by someone. Their killing intent towards Zhao Fu was not just a bit. They wanted to blast this weak ant into smithereens and have his soul be eternally tortured. Facing the 6 paths demon images' terrifying gazes, Zhao Fu's hairs stood on end, and he did not have any confidence at all. Back then, he had only been able to control the 6 paths demon images because they had been summoned using Zhao Fu's blood, and they had come one by one. Now, they did not have Zhao Fu's blood to control them, and now there were 6 of them. What could Zhao Fu do? Sensing the 6 paths demon images' killing intent, the golden dragon could not help but say in shock, "Zhao Fu, how did you offend them? They're the most terrifying existences in the underworld, and even though they're only clones, their power is still incredibly terrifying." Zhao Fu sighed and told the golden dragon about what had happened before asking, "Do you have any way to deal with them? From the looks of it, they definitely want to kill me and won't let me off." This time, the golden dragon fell silent and did not reply to Zhao Fu, causing Zhao Fu's heart to feel a chill. Qin City's generals and city lords were all incredibly shocked. Looking at the 6 paths demon images, they felt as if they had fallen into icy water. A bone-chilling coldness flowed towards them from all directions, and a sense of despair spread through their hearts. Everyone was completely dumbfounded and stood there. Most of the ghosts in the surroundings were sucked in by the ghost gate, and a small portion of the ghosts ran away in fear because of the 6 paths demon images. The spear-wielding Shura demon image savagely and evilly looked at Zhao Fu and was the first to attack. It raised its spear and stabbed toward Zhao Fu. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a formless spear light stabbed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu quickly put away the items that the Ghost King had dropped and flew into the sky. The formless spear light hit the ground and gave off a muffled explosion. Dust flew everywhere, and the ground continuously trembled. In just an instant, a 1,000-meter wide and hundreds of meters deep crater appeared in the ground. This was only a normal attack from the Shura demon image. Zhao Fu flew into the sky and avoided this attack. The hungry ghost image that was closest to him sinisterly laughed and raised its machete. It slashed down, sending out a massive saber chi that seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. Zhao Fu was greatly startled and did not dare to take this attack head-on, and he once again dodged to the side. Boom! The massive saber chi seemed to split the ground in half, causing the ground to crack and tremble. The saber chi caused a straight ravine to appear in the ground, and the terrifying saber chi slashed towards the Great Wall. The Great Wall, which was protected by countless restrictions and barriers, was slashed apart by the saber chi. Luckily, there were not many people there. Bang! The animal image suddenly attacked, punching out with shocking power. A massive explosion sounded out, and it sounded like a thunderclap. Zhao Fu felt as if he was going to go deaf. This time, Zhao Fu was unable to dodge, and his body was sent flying like a sandbag. He slammed into the Great Wall, causing countless cracks to appear on the Great Wall. The center of the Great Wall caved in, and Zhao Fu was stuck within it, causing him to cough up a mouthful of blood. "Your Majesty!" Countless people were given a big fright and hurried over to where Zhao Fu was. At that moment, the silent golden dragon once again said, "I have a method. Do you want to try it? However, I'm not 100% confident that it will work. Speak." Zhao Fu's expression became incredibly serious as he looked at the 6 paths demon images and immediately agreed. After all, there was nothing Zhao Fu could do. Following this, the golden dragon started to explain his method, and Zhao Fu understood what the golden dragon was trying to say. Chapter 820. Hearing this, no one dared to hesitate in the face of such a great crisis. All of the city lords and generals obeyed Zhao Fu's orders and gathered around the Ghost Gate. Boom! The Hell Demon image swung its pitchfork, giving off a terrifying destructive power, bringing with it a massive gale as it rushed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu once again dodged to the side, but the city walls behind him were instantly shattered into countless pieces. Taking this opportunity, Zhao Fu gave an order to one of the generals, who immediately turned and left, heading towards Qin City. Zhao Fu went to the center of the Ghost Gate magic formation and replaced Dark North Red Autumn, who had been presiding over the magic formation. He slit his wrist, causing blood to flow out as Zhao Fu yelled, "In Qi fills the world, 10,000 ghosts roam the world, calamity befalls all life, suffering all life. As the ruler of the Qin Empire, the future emperor of Qin City, I invite the spirit of the Ghost Gate to descend and expel all Yin beings from this world." Boom! Just as Zhao Fu finished speaking, the massive stone gate in the sky gave off a formless energy that spread out like a wild gale. The blood on Zhao Fu's arm was absorbed by the formless energy, and it was absorbed by the stone gate. 100 million soldiers roared and exploded out with all of their power, causing their veins to bulge as they sent all of their power into the Ghost Gate magic formation. At that moment, the 1,400 city lords also exploded out with their city lord seal's power and sent them into the Ghost Gate magic formation. The magic formation on the ground received a shocking amount of power and spun with terrifying power. The 10,000-meter tall stone doors in the sky gave off an intense gray light, and the countless ghosts carved on them seemed to come to life as a boundless will of Inshi descended. Ghost Gate. It was said that if a person wanted to enter the underworld, they had to pass through the Ghost Gate, and if ghosts wanted to enter the Yang world, they had to pass through the Ghost Gate. The Ghost Gate had been an item that connected the Yin world and the Yang world, and it was a supreme treasure of the underworld like the 6 paths of reincarnation. The 6 paths of reincarnation was responsible for the cycle of reincarnation, and the Ghost Gate was responsible for the separation and connection of the Yin and Yang realms. Both of them were extremely effective against ghosts, which was why they were able to trap countless ghosts in the Yin realm, preventing them from breaking through the Ghost Gate and coming to the Yang realm. The 6 paths of reincarnation demon images gave off terrifying auras as they walked towards Zhao Fu and Qin soldiers. The 6 paths of reincarnation demon images did not feel any fear because of Qin's numbers, and they continued to give off savage and evil gazes. In their eyes, everything in front of them was a lowly floating spirit. However, at that moment, the Ghost Gate that was giving off an intense light caused the 6 of them to stop in their tracks. For the first time, they looked a bit hesitant, as they could feel that the Ghost Gate was suppressing them. However, looking at Zhao Fu, who was standing below the Hell Gate, the 6 of them still walked towards him. They had to kill this lowly ant, Zhao Fu said in a cold voice. Boom! As the 6 paths demon images walked in, a boundless gray light tore through the sky as the Ghost Gate exploded out with a shocking might. It was as if the sky was collapsing and heavily pressed down on the 6 paths demon images' bodies. Roar! 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 The 6 paths demon images furiously roared as traces of ghostly qi rose up from their bodies, exploding out with an even more intense aura. The terrifying aura was like a wild gale, causing countless rocks and sand to be blown away and countless trees to sway. The 6 paths demon images raised their hands, resisting the power weighing down on their bodies. Slowly, the Ghost Gate's shocking might was gradually pushed back by the 6 of them. Zhao Fu's expression fell, and he ordered all of Qin's soldiers to send all of their power into the Ghost Gate formation. At the center of the formation, the black and white impermanences also did their best to activate the formation. The Ghost Gate in the sky gave off an even more intense gray light, and the power weighing down on the 6 paths demon images increased. Roar! 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 The 6 paths demon images furiously roared as they resisted the Ghost Gate's power. Their eyes gradually became blood red as they entered a state of extermination and slaughter. The ghostly qi around their bodies became blood red, and an even more evil and violent power appeared within their bodies. They raised their hands and once again pushed back against the might weighing down on their bodies. It was even easier than before, and the terrifying aura they gave off made people feel even more despair. Zhao Fu's expression once again fell, and he yelled, "All city lords, take out your city lord seals and listen to my commands." All of the city lords' expressions became serious as they took out their city lord seals, which gave off different lights and powerful auras as they floated above everyone. At that moment, Zhao Fu also took out his Qin seal, which gave off a terrifying black light and floated above his head. Zhao Fu pointed at the 6 paths demon images, and the Qin seal turned into a ray of black light and shot towards the 6 paths demon images. The other city lord seals also turned into rays of light and shot towards the 6 paths demon images. The 1,400 or so city lord seals formed a circle with the Qin seal at the head, surrounding the 6 paths demon images. At that moment, Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and yelled, "Qin City, as well as all of Qin's cities, release all of your power and gather here." Boom! 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 The city hearts continuously trembled and gave off intense light as pillars of light shot into the sky. The city lord seals also received even more power and gave off brilliant lights, looking like thousands of stars. Their auras were incredibly terrifying, shaking the surrounding hundreds of regions. A power that felt like thousands of mountains gathered together and weighed down on the 6 paths demon images' bodies. The 6 paths demon images' bodies bent, looking like they were about to suppress the 6 paths demon images. However, in the next moment, a terrifying aura flame burst forth from the 6 paths demon images, and their shocking auras swept out like a massive gale. Countless boulders were blown into the sky, and countless trees madly swayed. The entire northern side of the Midland continent felt an eerie, evil, and violent aura. The 6 paths demon images' eyes became completely blood red, and they gave off a brilliant blood red light. 6 grave vortexes gradually appeared in the sky, and boundless ghostly chi flooded out. The entire world seemed to become eerie, and all of the plants and trees lost their life force and were filled with an eerie and cold aura. The ghostly chi was like a tide that flooded large areas. Countless creatures fled in terror. Once they were enveloped by the ghostly chi, they would immediately die and turn into Een spirits. The demonic god of 6 paths is using the power of 6 paths of reincarnation. Zhao Fu's expression changed as he hurriedly yelled, "Bai Qi, Wang Jian, Wei Liao, Meng Tian, Li Mu, Zhang Han Bai Shihan." With Bai Qi in the lead, the 9 people took out their general armaments and pointed them at the sky. A transcendent aura exploded out as pillars of light shot into the sky, causing the entire sky to tremble. The 9 massive stars seemed to have been summoned by something and gave off intense starlight and terrifying auras. They broke through the restrictions of the sky and descended into the world. The massacre of the 7 murders star, the conquest of the army destroyer star, the ruthlessness of the ravenous wolf star, the righteousness of the giant gate star, the madness of the integrity star. Chapter 8:21. Immediately, the 6 paths demon images felt immense pressure, and they once again bent over. However, they continuously roared and desperately resisted, and the ghostly chi from the 6 vortexes flowed into their bodies, causing boundless ghostly power to flow out of their bodies. 9 stars appeared in the sky, giving off different starlight. In this gloomy world, they were incredibly eye-catching, and many people noticed this and felt quite shocked. The scene of 9 general stars descending together was quite majestic, and the aura they gave off was quite shocking. What was happening to Qin? Countless people felt quite curious because it was evident that if there wasn't something big happening, the 9 general stars definitely wouldn't appear. What they didn't know was that Qin was facing off against the 6 paths demon images, which had threatened to destroy the human world. If they knew about this, they would probably be scared half to death. Back when the 6 paths demon images had descended and activated the 6 paths of reincarnation, the ocean-like ghostly creatures had left a deep impression on them. Back then, almost everyone had fallen into despair. Facing the 6 paths of reincarnation, they had been unable to resist at all, and the 6 paths demon images had left a deep shadow in their hearts. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the sky gradually darkened. A blood-red star giving off a devilish aura of slaughter and disaster slowly descended, dyeing the sky red. Everyone felt even more shocked. The Chaos Imperial Star had once again appeared. This meant that something incredibly important had happened to Qin, or perhaps it might even be a crisis. Otherwise, the Chaos Imperial Star would not have appeared. The Chaos Imperial Star's previous appearances had confirmed their suspicions. Now, everyone turned to look at Qin. Zhao Fu roared, looking quite savage as he gathered the Chaos Imperial Star's terrifying power and pressed down towards the 6 paths demon images. The 6 paths demon images' archbodies once again lowered down. "Everyone, give it your all!" Zhao Fu roared, and all of the soldiers roared as they sent all of their power into the Ghost Gate magic formation, causing the stone gate in the sky to give off an even more powerful might. The City Lords roared and sent all of their power into their City Lord seals. The 1,400 stars exploded out with a shocking aura and gave off immense power as they pressed down towards the 6 paths demon images. Bai Qi, Wang Jian, and Wei Liao roared and unleashed all of their power, activating their general stars. The 9 general stars gave off an even more intense starlight, and the sea of stars became even more beautiful and powerful as it weighed down on the 6 paths demon images' bodies. Zhao Fu roared and used all of his strength to control the Chaos Imperial Star's power, turning it into 6 blood-red pillars of starlight that seemed to be able to imprison the heavens. They gave off boundless power as they landed on the 6 paths demon images' bodies. Boom, boom, boom. As Qin and the others exerted their full strength, the bodies of the 6 golems sank, and they half knelt on the ground, making loud noises. The ground shook as if there was an earthquake. Roar, roar, roar. The six paths demon images madly roared as their ghostly chi became berserk. They desperately tried to stand up and kill everyone here. At that moment, Zhao Fu floated in front of the six paths demon images, a gray crystal pearl floating in front of his chest. This was the Ghost World Pearl, and there were 5 stone steels on Zhao Fu's back. They were the profession change stone steels, which represented the 5 professions. Zhao Fu had obtained the 100 Ghost Illusionist and Ghost Summoner, and Zhao Fu had ordered one of his generals to return to Qin City to obtain these 2 stone steels. The other 3 were the Human Ghost Profession Change Stone Steel, the Ghost God Soldier Profession Change Stone Steel, and the Ghost Eye Profession Change Stone Steel. Because time was tight, Zhao Fu had not dealt with those 3 stone steels and had instead kept them on him. The reason Zhao Fu had taken out the Ghost World Pearl and the 5 Profession Change Stone Steel was because he wanted to use the Golden Dragon's method to seal the 6 paths demon images. More accurately speaking, he wanted to seal the 6 paths demon images within Zhao Fu's body. The Ghost World Pearl contained a trace of source energy and could automatically create a space. It was a good container and could prevent Zhao Fu from sealing the 6 paths demon images within his body. If Zhao Fu was unable to withstand the massive power, his body would explode. The 5 professions were for support purposes. The 100 Ghost Illusionist used ghost power to create illusions and was a profession that used ghost power. It was resistant to ghosts' minds, and the Ghost Summoner summoned ghosts, which had a suppressive effect on ghosts. The Human Ghost Illusionist fused with ghosts, increasing their compatibility with ghosts and giving them great immunity against ghosts. The Ghost God Soldier increased one's control over ghosts, and the Ghost Eye increased one's senses towards ghosts. Sealing the 6 paths demon images within Zhao Fu's body was an incredibly dangerous matter. Without any defensive measures, it was possible that Zhao Fu would die, so he had to use these 5 professions. At the same time, Zhao Fu rejoiced that Qin had these 5 professions, and they were all related to ghosts and could suppress ghosts. This gave Zhao Fu some protection and increased the feasibility of his plan. Even though sealing the 6 paths demon images within Zhao Fu's body was incredibly dangerous, as he could suffer a backlash at any moment and become someone that the 6 paths demon images had to kill, the benefits were incredibly shocking. Not only would he have the 6 paths demon images power, but he would also be able to control the 6 paths demon images power. Zhao Fu floated in front of the 6 paths demon images and tore off his clothes, revealing his slender upper body. Zhao Fu started to form hand seals with both hands, sending them into the Ghost World Pearl in front of him. After fusing with these hand seals, the Ghost World Pearl gave off a faint gray light and lightly trembled, forming a connection with Zhao Fu. As more and more hand seals fused into the Ghost World Pearl, the connection between them became even stronger. At that moment, Zhao Fu cut open his forehead and forced out a drop of his most precious origin blood, which fused into the Ghost World Pearl. Zhao Fu's face instantly became pale, as origin blood was a person's foundation. Losing even a single drop would greatly damage one's vitality. After absorbing Zhao Fu's origin blood, the Ghost World Pearl suddenly stopped trembling and silently floated in the air, and a blood-red light gradually spread out. Immediately, the connection between Zhao Fu and the Ghost World Pearl reached its peak, and now, the Ghost World Pearl was like a part of Zhao Fu's body, allowing Zhao Fu to control it as he pleased. The Golden Dragon also used its methods. Zhao Fu fused the Ghost World Pearl into his chest, while it controlled the 5 profession change stone steels. A golden light covered the 5 stone steels, and 5 gray runes were drawn out of them. An even more intense golden light came from Zhao Fu's back as a golden magic formation appeared on Zhao Fu's back, giving off a profound and complicated aura. The 5 gray runes shot into the golden magic formation and took up 5 different directions, looking like a 5-pointed star. The 5 gray runes started to give off a cold and eerie power, and the golden magic formation was gradually dyed a gray-black color. Following this, the gray-black magic formation disappeared into Zhao Fu's back. The Ghost World Pearl perfectly fused into Zhao Fu's chest, and the ghostly rune formation on his back was complete. Now it was time to seal it. Chapter 822. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu stretched out a hand towards the Six Paths demon images. The golden pupil in his left eye quickly spun as tens of thousands of chains shot out from the air, giving off immense power as they bound the Six Paths demon images. The Six Paths demon images were suppressed by the six blood-red pillars of starlight, and they were half kneeling on the ground. However, they continuously roared and resisted, and Zhao Fu's countless chains added another layer of shackles to them. Roar! 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 The Six Paths demon images madly roared as blood-gray, ghostly chi continuously flowed out from their bodies. Because of their massive bodies, every single one of their movements could cause gales. Clang, clang, clang. At that moment, Zhao Fu's long hair danced in the wind as he grabbed at the air, causing countless chains to tighten and bind up the Six Paths demon images. The Ghost World Pearl, which had fused into Zhao Fu's chest, once again appeared and seemed to be embedded into his chest, giving off waves of gray light. Boom! The Ghost World Pearl exploded out with a powerful suction force, causing an intense shockwave to cover the Six Paths demon images. The Six Paths demon images seemed to sense Zhao Fu's goal, causing them to feel even more furious. They roared at Zhao Fu, and the terrifying sound wave rushed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's Emperor's domain gradually appeared, defending against the terrifying sound wave. At the same time, he controlled all of the chains to pull the Six Paths demon images towards him. With the help of the powerful suction force and the countless chains, the Six Paths demon images gradually came closer to Zhao Fu. Now, the Six Paths demon images felt a trace of fear, and they madly roared, wanting to break free. The six vortexes behind them gave off boundless ghostly chi, continuously increasing the Six Paths demon images' power. However, even without Zhao Fu's orders, Qin's soldiers unleashed all of their power and sent it into the Ghost Gate formation, causing the Ghost Gate in the sky to give off an even more powerful might. The City Lords also controlled their City Lord seals, causing them to give off the aura of thousands of mountains that ferociously pressed down on the Six Paths demon images' bodies. Bai Qi and the others loudly unleashed their general power, causing the 9 general stars to give off an even more intense light. The Sea of Stars gave off boundless power as it pressed down on the Six Paths demon images' bodies. Zhao Fu roared and used all of his strength. The golden pupil in his left eye quickly spun, and a stream of blood flowed out of his left eye socket. The countless chains pulled even harder, and a trace of blood appeared on the Ghost World Pearl, and the suction force became even stronger. Roar! The Six Paths demon images continuously struggled, but their bodies were suppressed by countless powers, and they started to lean toward Zhao Fu. At first, their arms were sucked into the Ghost World Pearl, but the Six Paths demon images still desperately struggled, wanting to break free from the chains and the suction force. There was a trace of terror in their eyes. Following this, their upper bodies were sucked into the Ghost World Pearl like water. Their heads and upper bodies were also sucked in by a powerful suction force. After the Six Paths demon images' upper bodies were sucked into the Ghost World Pearl, their lower bodies were also easily sucked in. After the Ghost World Pearl sucked in the Six Paths demon images, it gave off a powerful gray light that seemed to tear through space, and a terrifying aura spread out. At that moment, the Ghost World Pearl started to break free from Zhao Fu's control. However, Zhao Fu suddenly retracted his hand and pressed it against the Ghost World Pearl on his chest, and a sealing formation appeared on his palm. The Ghost World Pearl on Zhao Fu's chest was gradually pushed back into his body by Zhao Fu. A look of pain appeared on Zhao Fu's face, and he felt as if something was being forced into his body. The golden pupil in his left eye and the 3 remaining pupils all opened, and their power fused together. Countless chains containing Emperor's aura tightly bound the six paths demon images within the ghost world pearl, and no matter how much they struggled, they were unable to break free. In the end, the ghost world pearl was completely pushed into Zhao Fu's body, and a terrifying ghostly power spread from his chest to his entire body. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a heaven-toppling aura exploded out like a wild gale. The ground was sent flying, and trees were uprooted. In the next moment, the heavens and earth once again fell silent. Everyone present was shocked because this terrifying power definitely surpassed the power of a single six paths demon image, and it was the power of six of them stacked together. At that moment, Zhao Fu's body completely lost its color and became incredibly pale, as if he did not have any life force at all. His black hair gradually became gray-white, and his hands became ghost-like claws, and fangs grew out of his mouth. At that moment, the black magic formation on Zhao Fu's back once again appeared, helping Zhao Fu control the ghostly power that was about to go out of control. The ghostly power that had gone out of control slowly calmed down, but another massive wave of ghostly power flowed into Zhao Fu's right eye, causing Zhao Fu to feel as if his right eye was going to shatter. Blood flowed out his right eye, and Zhao Fu could not help but cry out. Zhao Fu's left eye had 4 round pupils, 2 blood red, 1 white, and 1 golden pupil with a chain mark on it. Zhao Fu's right eye had 3 vertical pupils. Under the invasion of this massive wave of ghostly power, Zhao Fu's right eye's 3 vertical pupils started to overlap and fuse together. The first 2 were blood red and the last was white, and 6 gray dots appeared around the vertical pupils. Gradually, the ghostly power came under control, and Zhao Fu's body regained its color. His sharp claws and fangs returned to their original color, and Zhao Fu returned to his original appearance, apart from his right eye. Your Majesty! Seeing that Zhao Fu had returned to normal, everyone let out a sigh of relief and hurried over to greet Zhao Fu. A trace of a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face, and he took out a set of clothes to put on as he said, "I'm fine, don't worry." The golden dragon couldn't help but feel delighted as he said, "I never thought that you'd succeed." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Now that he had the 6 paths demon images and obtained the 6 paths of reincarnation power, Qin had another layer of protection. However, the power of the 6 paths demon images was still quite terrifying, and it was quite difficult for Zhao Fu to control them. It was best not to use them in times of crisis, because if the power was too great and he couldn't control them, he would suffer a backlash. By now, it was around 10:30 p.m., and there was only 1.5 hours until the Ghost Festival ended. Zhao Fu did not receive any rewards for sealing the 6 paths demon images, but he was already quite satisfied. After coming to the exchange stone steel, Zhao Fu did not plan to use his own ghost points and instead used other people's ghost points to exchange for some things. Chapter 823. As the last festival in the human world, it was only natural that there would be more than a few items on the ranking list. Aside from those items, there were also all sorts of items on the exchange stone steel. Equipment, medicinal pills, materials, skills, and so on. Zhao Fu started to look through the items on the exchange stone steel. Because he had been completely focused on the event, he had not had time to look through the items on the exchange stone steel. Now, he found a few decent items. Zhao Fu first exchanged for a large amount of spirit liquid to raise Qin's 4,500 trees of life and 300 ginseng fruit trees to 20 or 30 years old. At this age, they could produce fruits of life and ginseng fruits. Qin's first ginseng fruit tree had become a level 2 ginseng fruit tree, and the world tree near the fountain of life had been greatly nurtured by Zhao Fu. Adding on the fact that it could absorb countless life force essences every day, it had become quite lush and was about to level up. The second thing that Zhao Fu exchanged for was the Evil Crushing Spear Creation Book. Before, Zhao Fu had liked using evil crushing spears, as they were incredibly effective against ghosts, demons, and monsters. It was a pity that evil-crushing spears could only be used once. Now that Zhao Fu had exchanged for the evil-crushing spear creation book, Qin could mass-produce them. This required talisman masters, and Qin had many resources to nurture. The evil-crushing spear was quite expensive, costing 100 million ghost points. To Zhao Fu, this was quite easy, and Zhao Fu had also exchanged for the evil-crushing spear creation book. Spirit, evil-crushing spear, an advanced version of a normal evil-crushing spear. Not only does it have many times the power of evil-crushing, but it also has an evil-crushing spirit, making it even more effective against high-grade evil creatures. Requires a high-grade talisman master to craft. The spear creation book required 600 million ghost points, which Zhao Fu had exchanged for. Since Zhao Fu had a large number of ghost points, if he did not use them, they would be wasted the next day. As such, Zhao Fu did not feel any heartache. Of course, Zhao Fu did not use the ghost points that he had obtained. The fourth item was an Yin Qi formation artifact, which could gather even pure Yin Qi. Zhao Fu was planning to turn them into ghost soldiers, and pure Yin Qi was incredibly important to ghost soldiers. As such, Zhao Fu exchanged for it and could use it with the Ghost King tombstone. This item was not very expensive, only costing 5,000 ghost points. The final item was the most expensive, costing 3 billion ghost points. With so many ghost points, it was enough to prove that this item was quite extraordinary. This item was actually a military flag, and the flagpole was 12 meters tall and was made of metal. The flag cloth was black, and there was a monster with a snake's head and a bird's body drawn on it, giving off an eerie feeling. Ghost Army Flag. An army flag from the Yang world that commanded billions of soldiers' chi. After being affected by the underworld's boundless Yin Qi, it transformed into an underworld treasure. The Ghost Army Flag's main purpose was to help people change professions. This Ghost Army Flag could gather a massive amount of Ghost Army Chi, and ghost soldiers born under this Ghost Army Flag would automatically change professions to ghost soldiers. Ghost Soldier, C-grade military description. A ghost soldier that has been transformed by countless ghost soldiers. Effect. Receives Ghost Soldier after changing profession. This was a C-grade military, which was 1 grade higher than Qin's military. Qin's Ghost Soldier was only D+ grade, so one could imagine how powerful the Ghost Soldier was. However, this was not the Ghost Army Flag's greatest benefit. Its true benefit was that there was no limit to the number of people who could change their professions. In other words, it could turn countless ghost soldiers into ghost soldiers, and there was no limit at all. This was what Zhao Fu valued the most. With this Ghost Army Flag, Zhao Fu could turn all of his ghost soldiers into ghost soldiers. Adding all of the ghost seals together, Qin could command 25 million ghost soldiers, which was equivalent to 1/5 of Qin's army. Apart from sealing the 6 paths of reincarnation demon images, the ghost seals were Qin's greatest gain. However, because there were so many events, Zhao Fu did not have time to deal with these things. He could only do so after the events were over. Soon, it was 11 p.m., and Zhao Fu exchanged for a few more items, using up most of Qin's ghost points. He only kept his own ghost points. The Ghost Festival was about to end, and the next festival was the second event of the Divine Fish Festival, which was the Fish Spirit World. The rewards for this event were 3 special cities, which Zhao Fu had long since taken a fancy to. As such, he had to continue working hard and could not relax. However, the Fish Spirit World was an individual event, and after working so hard for 2 days, Qin and the others, who were exhausted from fighting against the 6 paths of reincarnation demon images, could take this opportunity to rest. This was something that Zhao Fu had allowed them to do, as he understood how difficult it had been for them to fight against the 6 paths of reincarnation demon images. In actuality, as the core of this event, Zhao Fu had been working the hardest. Even though he was quite tired, the Divine Fish Festival was an individual event, and even though others could rest, Zhao Fu could not. Otherwise, how could he obtain divine fish points to exchange for cities? Time gradually passed, and soon it was 12 p.m. The boundless Yin Qi gradually receded, and the world returned to normal. The silver moon in the sky was no longer gray, and it gave off gentle moonlight that illuminated the surroundings. Suddenly, countless rainbow-colored rays of light sprinkled down from the night sky like a veil, extremely beautiful and gentle. Fish were also swimming in the night sky. There were carps, small crucian carps, grass carps, and whales. Different fish gave off different rays of light and happily played in the night sky. The night sky became a rainbow-colored ocean with all sorts of fish swimming about. Countless people stared at this scene in shock and fascination. This lasted for 5 minutes before the countless fish in the night sky turned into motes of light that fell to the ground like a rain of light. The Divine Fish Festival had officially begun. System announcement. All of your ghost points have been converted to Divine Fish points. After receiving this system announcement, Zhao Fu couldn't help but open his stats page to see how many Divine Fish points he had. He then looked at the exchange stone steel and found that he had enough to exchange for the first-ranked city. However, Zhao Fu hesitated. Out of the Celestial City, Sword Mountain, and Holy God City, which one was the best? In terms of stats, the Celestial City was the best, the Sword Mountain had the highest attack, and the Holy God City was superior in all aspects. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu decided to exchange for the Sword Mountain first. Firstly, Zhao Fu liked things with high attack, and he also had Gania, the #1 swordsman in Qin City. With him as the city lord, he would be able to use the Sword Mountain's power and nurture a group of powerful swordsmen for Qin City. Chapter 824. After taking care of these matters, Zhao Fu started to participate in the Divine Fish Festival. Back then, Zhao Fu had used his king's blood to feed some small fish and used them as bait. Adding on the royal wood sword's fishing rod, he had been able to catch countless rare fish. If it wasn't for the fact that the Divine Fish Festival had suppressed the dynasty legatees and given ordinary people with great fate, it would have been impossible for Masanori Hanno to participate in the Divine Fish Festival. Masanori Hanno had also risen to prominence. She was the owner of one of the 10 special cities, and she had even become a legatee. She was now the most prestigious woman in Japan, and she was respected by many factions in Japan. She was pursued by countless men. Before, Zhao Fu had been defeated by their cheat-like abilities, and now he was quite worried. Now that there were only 2 cities left, the competition was even greater. However, things were different now. Zhao Fu now had a sovereign bloodline and was no longer restricted. Now that all of the regions had been opened up, he could choose to go to larger bodies of water. Zhao Fu chose the ocean, and Zhao Fu did not want to lose to them again. After making some preparations, Zhao Fu went to the Water God Temple because the Water God could also give blessings. The Water God Temple was now a level 7 temple, which was 3 levels lower than the City God Temple. Its level was determined by how much incense it received, and the City God could ask for anything, such as safety, marriage, fortune, and fortune. However, the Water God could only give blessings from water. Qin City's body was relatively small, so it did not receive as much incense as the City God Temple, which was why it was only a level 7 temple. In actuality, a level 7 temple was already quite powerful. The Water God's body was completely corporeal, and its blessings were many times stronger than before. Back then, the Water God's body had been illusory. Looking at this gentle and beautiful woman in front of him, Zhao Fu decided to bring her with him and give his greatest blessing. This time, Zhao Fu was determined to defeat those cheat-like people. Using a teleportation channel, Zhao Fu quickly came to the coast and flew to the deep waters. He put down a boat and started to fish under the bright moonlight. Of course, he used fish that had devoured sovereign bloodlines. The Water God also gave all sorts of blessings, and rays of light appeared on the fishing rod. Zhao Fu quietly sat at the front of the boat, waiting for the fish to bite. The Water God quietly stood behind Zhao Fu, afraid of disturbing Zhao Fu. Only Zhao Fu would bring a godly spirit to fish. Suddenly, in just a moment, Zhao Fu's fishing rod was pulled by a huge force. This force was enough to compete with a small city lord, but its opponent was Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gripped the fishing rod with one hand and lifted it forcefully. An eel-like fish was pulled out of the water by Zhao Fu. This eel was 10 or so meters long and had a mouthful of sharp teeth. Its body gave off a 3-colored light, and it was a level 7 divine fish. This was only one level lower than the 7-color divine fish that Zhao Fu had caught last time. The 3-colored eel was pulled out of the water by Zhao Fu, and it turned into countless motes of light that entered Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu received a system announcement in his mind. However, what surprised Zhao Fu was that there was no fish jewel. Before, every fish he caught had a chance of obtaining a fish jewel. This time, Zhao Fu did not obtain a fish jewel, not because his luck was bad, but because he had obtained something else. It was a foot-wide turntable with a pointer in the middle. Apart from the countless fish patterns on the turntable, it was divided into 7 regions: the equipment region, the skill region, the blessing region, the item region, the material region, the special reward region, and the none region. Fish God's Wheel. A prize wheel created by the fish god. It can give all sorts of rewards, but it can only be used once. Zhao Fu was quite surprised by the appearance of this wheel, but he felt that it was a bit of scam. The fish jewel from before could give all sorts of rewards, but this wheel could give no rewards at all. It was also possible that after working so hard to obtain the wheel, one would end up with nothing. Zhao Fu did not believe in such a thing. Even though there were special rewards, it was often the case that no rewards were many times greater than the special rewards. Zhao Fu decided to put it aside for now. Right now, his main goal was to obtain divine fish points, so he decided to put it away and continue fishing. However, at that moment, the water god standing behind Zhao Fu suddenly said, "Your Majesty, I can sense a trace of divine power from this wheel that is very useful to me. If I can fuse with this trace of divine power, I'll be able to slightly control the wheel, and I should be able to avoid getting no rewards." Zhao Fu felt quite surprised, but he did not pay it too much mind. He handed the wheel to the water god, who sat behind Zhao Fu. The water god sat down behind Zhao Fu and gave a gentle smile as she said, "Thank you, Your Majesty." Zhao Fu lightly nodded and turned his attention back to fishing. Soon, another 3-color divine fish was caught, causing Zhao Fu to feel delighted. At the same time, he obtained another fish god's wheel. After putting up the bait, Zhao Fu put the hook back into the water, and soon a massive force came from the fishing rod. This force was even greater than the power of the 3-colored divine fish, so there was only one possibility. A look of delight appeared on Zhao Fu's face, and he stood up from the boat. He gripped the fishing rod with both hands and vigorously pulled it up, causing the fish underwater to vigorously struggle, and a terrifying aura came from the bottom of the water. At that moment, Zhao Fu used a trace of Qin Yin's power and gripped the fishing rod with both hands. He once again vigorously pulled the fish out of the water. It was a rainbow-colored ray fish that was snow white and had a silver tail. It looked quite pretty, and after being pulled out of the water, it turned into countless motes of light and entered Zhao Fu's body. A system announcement sounded out in Zhao Fu's mind, and he received 2 items this time. One was the fish god's wheel, and the other was a rectangular crystal that was 3 fingers wide. It was dark blue and gave off a powerful water attribute aura. Water God Stone, a stone that contains a trace of water god's power. It could be used as a cornerstone for a water god temple. The more water god stones collected, the higher the water god temple's level will be, and the more powerful the godly spirit's blessing will be. Zhao Fu felt quite delighted. This would be quite useful for Qin Yin to develop his navy. At that moment, the water god suddenly said, "Your Majesty, I've already fused with a trace of divine power from the wheel. I've already fused with the wheel's divine power, so I can use it now." Hearing this, Zhao Fu handed the rainbow wheel to her and lightly smiled as he said, "Open these wheels. That way, you'll be able to control them better and get better items." The water god smiled and lightly nodded before choosing to spin the wheel. Zhao Fu continued to fish, and soon, he caught another 3-color divine fish. Zhao Fu was pleasantly surprised to find that Zhao Fu's blood contained a might that made it so that no divine fish below the three-color divine fish level dared to come close. Chapter 825. There is also a wooden barrel behind Zhao Fu, which contained hundreds of thumb-sized fish. There was some water in the barrel, and Zhao Fu had only given them a bit of blood instead of an entire barrel. After devouring Zhao Fu's blood, the fish had gone through some changes. Their scales had become black, and they looked like dragon scales. They also gave off a faint might, and even though this might was quite weak, it gave off a supreme aura. After all, Zhao Fu's blood was a sovereign bloodline, which reigned above countless kings and emperors, so it naturally had powerful effects. At that moment, the water god started to spin the wheel. The wheel quickly spun in the air, and the needle spun very slowly. Gradually, the wheel slowed down until it stopped, and the needle pointed at the special reward region. Because the water god had shared the system announcements, Zhao Fu immediately received a system announcement and received an experience stone. After this system announcement sounded out, the wheel turned into countless motes of light and disappeared, and a milky white stone that was as big as a walnut appeared. Experience stone, a city item that contains a massive amount of soul energy. After using it, one can obtain 10 million EXP, and it can be used on any city of any level. The first item made Zhao Fu feel quite delighted. This small stone was worth 10 million EXP, and 10 million EXP was not a small amount to Qin. If he had more of this experience stone, Qin would be able to quickly level up again. It seemed that this special reward was quite attractive. Zhao Fu had miscalculated. He had never thought that he would receive such an unexpected reward the first time he spun the wheel. Zhao Fu could not help but look forward to spinning the wheel a second time. So he had the water god continue to spin the wheel. The wheel once again spun in the air before slowly stopping. The needle pointed at the material region, and it announced that he had obtained a low-grade, epic-grade material. The wheel once again turned into countless motes of light and disappeared, and a dark blue jade stone appeared in front of Zhao Fu. All right, Zhao Fu was a little disappointed. It seemed that he couldn't get to the special reward area every time. If he wanted to get a bigger harvest, he would have to continue fishing. Zhao Fu placed the bait back into the water, and soon it was pulled again. Zhao Fu vigorously raised the fishing rod, and a three-color divine fish was pulled up by Zhao Fu, which turned into countless motes of light and entered Zhao Fu's body. At the same time, a spinning wheel appeared in Zhao Fu's hand. It seemed that as long as he caught a fish, there would be a fish god's wheel of fortune. It was different from before, where there was a chance of getting a fish jewel if he caught a fish. Zhao Fu handed the wheel in his hand to the water god behind him and continued fishing. The water god stood behind Zhao Fu, fusing with the divine power on the wheel and spinning it at the same time. Just like that, the two of them worked together. Zhao Fu was responsible for fishing, catching divine fish after divine fish, while the water god continuously spun the wheel, causing system announcements to sound out in Zhao Fu's mind. Half an hour later, the wheel spun to the special rewards area again, and a notification rang out. Notification: you have obtained a mermaid. Hearing this system announcement, Zhao Fu felt quite startled, and the image of a mermaid appeared in his mind. He turned and watched as the wheel turned into countless motes of light, and a figure fell into the water. This figure had the upper body of a human and the lower body of a fish. Its scales were silver and flickered with light. Its upper body had a head of beautiful golden hair, a pair of blue eyes, and a slender body. However, it looked like a handsome man, not a beautiful woman. The male mermaid fell into the water and gave a brilliant smile as he respectfully floated to the side and looked at the water god. Because the wheel had been activated by the water god, it was naturally the owner of the male mermaid. Zhao Fu was quite shocked. He had never thought that there would be a mermaid. Even though it was a male mermaid, it was quite rare. It was the first time that Zhao Fu had seen a real mermaid, and he had heard many fairy tales in the past. "Your Majesty, what do we do now?" The water god did not know what to do with this handsome mermaid, so she asked Zhao Fu, Zhao Fu thought about it and had the mermaid stay in the water. After all, its lower body was that of a fish, so it could not come onto the boat. Its body was quite big, and with its tail it was at least 2 meters tall. Zhao Fu's boat already had Zhao Fu and the water god, so it would not be able to hold it. Zhao Fu continued fishing. 10 or so minutes later, he received another blessing, and the water god attached this blessing to Zhao Fu. This was a water god blessing, and its divine power was many times greater than that of the water god next to Zhao Fu. It increased one's affinity with water and increased one's resistance to water damage. Zhao Fu did not pay too much attention to this blessing, and he focused on fishing. At that moment, a massive force suddenly tugged on his fishing rod, and Zhao Fu almost lost his grip on the rod and was pulled into the water. The force here was even greater than that of a rainbow divine fish. Now that Zhao Fu was holding onto the fishing rod, the entire boat was being pulled by that massive force. Zhao Fu felt quite delighted. After such a long time, he had finally encountered a fish of a higher grade than the rainbow divine fish. Just as he thought this, a terrifying shockwave rushed towards the boat from the bottom of the water. In that instant, Zhao Fu unleashed his emperor's domain, covering the entire boat. The male mermaid next to him sensed danger and dodged to the side. Bang! A massive pillar of water containing ferocious power blasted the boat 7 or 8 meters away. Luckily, Zhao Fu had used his emperor's domain to protect the boat, or else it would have been destroyed by the pillar of water. This divine fish was not easy to deal with, and before the boat could return to the water, Zhao Fu jumped into the water. Following the massive force, he found an 8-color divine fish that was 100 meters long. This 8-color divine fish looked like an octopus, but its body gave off a jade-like luster. It had 4 eyes and gave off a powerful aura that was even more powerful than the boss monsters of a few regions added together. Zhao Fu looked at the 8-color divine fish in the water, and the 8-color divine fish looked at Zhao Fu with a greedy and venomous gaze. It swam over and attacked Zhao Fu, and its countless tentacles whipped toward Zhao Fu. With so many tentacles, the attack range was simply too large, and Zhao Fu was unable to dodge. As such, he could only take out the Sin Dragon Sword and hold the fishing rod in his left hand while gripping the sword in his right hand. He slashed out, sending out 3 water dragons. Because the Sin Dragon Sword was much more powerful in the water, the 3 water dragons were even more ferocious than before. Boom! The countless tentacles collided with the water dragons, resulting in a muffled explosion. The shockwave blasted out as if it was a corporeal attack. Zhao Fu was forced back 10 or so steps, and the 8-color divine fish was sent flying dozens of meters. After stabilizing its body, it turned its head and savagely glared at Zhao Fu as it sucked in a large amount of water before spitting out a massive pillar of water toward Zhao Fu. Facing this attack, Zhao Fu did not pay it much mind. He used his City Lord Seal's terrifying power, and the Sin Dragon Sword quickly became a 1,000-meter long water sword. Chapter 826. Bang! The 8-color divine fish was sent flying by Zhao Fu's strike, and it crashed into an underwater mountain hundreds of meters away. A few of its tentacles were directly cut off by Zhao Fu, making it look quite wretched. The tentacles that had been cut off turned into motes of light and dissipated. Roar! The immense pain caused the 8-color divine fish to give a terrifying roar, and water quickly gathered towards it, forming a massive water whip. It then vigorously lashed out towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was quite startled and blocked with his water sword, but he was still sent flying by the water whip. The 8-color divine fish took this opportunity to once again rush at Zhao Fu, and its countless tentacles once again shot toward Zhao Fu, wanting to pierce through Zhao Fu's body. At that moment, Zhao Fu exploded out with the full power of the Qin Seal, and a terrifying shockwave exploded out from Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu continuously swung the Sin Dragon Sword, sending out sharp arcs of light in front of him. Countless tentacles shot towards him with immense power, but they were all cut off by Zhao Fu, causing the 8-color divine fish to howl in pain. At that moment, Zhao Fu took this opportunity to grab his fishing rod and rush towards the surface of the water. Sensing Zhao Fu's intentions, the 8-color divine fish was greatly startled and tried to dive deeper. However, it was already heavily injured and could not resist Zhao Fu's power. After struggling for a while, it was pulled out of the water by Zhao Fu and turned into motes of light that entered Zhao Fu's body. 3 items appeared in front of Zhao Fu. One was a wheel that gave off an 8-colored light. One was a square-shaped dark blue crystal that was half a foot wide. The first was naturally the divine fish wheel, and the second was a high-grade water godstone that could rival 15 normal water godstones. The third was a magic staff. This magic staff was silver and was 2 meters long. It was quite thin and had fish inscriptions engraved on it. There were 2 fish engraved on the top of the magic staff, and they looked like they were playing. The magic staff gave off a faint silver light and gave off a powerful aura, making it seem like a godly spirit. Fish God Magic Staff. Grade: Level 1 Saint Armament. Description: a magic staff that contains powerful divine power. It has many powerful abilities, including the power to control water, blessing fishing, and buffs all water skills. It also has the skill Great Fish Tide. After looking through the staff's information, as a Level 1 Saint Armament, its power was quite exquisite. Zhao Fu looked at the various abilities of the staff and felt that it was quite powerful. Zhao Fu casually gave the staff to the water goddess behind him. The water goddess happily accepted the staff and thanked Zhao Fu profusely. This type of staff was perfect for her. After dealing with this 8-color divine fish, Zhao Fu continued to fish. The water goddess picked up the 8-colored wheel that Zhao Fu had given her and started to spin it. The wheel spun in the air and gave off a faint 8-colored light. The wheel slowly stopped, and the needle once again stopped on the special reward. An orange light shined out as a 30-centimeter long wooden boat with 5 levels appeared in the air. Seafaring Spirit Boat. A navigational treasure that can turn into a 10,000-meter-long boat that can hold tens of thousands of people. The boat's body is incredibly tough and has a defensive barrier that provides the safest protection. It is the most suitable item for traveling at sea. Zhao Fu felt that this item was quite useful. If he was traveling at sea or traveling, this boat would be quite useful. Zhao Fu was quite satisfied and gave a trace of a smile as he once again focused on fishing. He continuously fished up fish and obtained items. The water goddess continuously spun the wheel behind Zhao Fu and obtained item after item. A while later, Zhao Fu fished up another 8-color divine fish that looked like squid. Zhao Fu spent some time and killed it in the water, obtaining 3 types of rewards. This time, the 8-color wheel did not give anything good, so Zhao Fu could only continue to fish. He fished quite quickly, and in less than 2 or 3 minutes, he would catch a fish, and their grades would not be low. An hour later, the water goddess spun another 3-colored wheel, and the needle once again pointed at the special reward, causing a system announcement to sound out. The wheel turned into countless motes of light and disappeared, and an egg-like item that was as big as a cherry and gave off a faint green light appeared in the air. Deep Sea Tree Fish Egg. A fish egg that can hatch into a deep-sea tree fish. This fish is a precious food ingredient, and its taste is extremely alluring. After hearing about this, Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. Even though deep-sea tree fish did not have any special effects, they were one of the most delicious food ingredients in the world. However, they were incredibly rare, and ordinary kingdoms would not be able to eat them. It was also extremely expensive. Normally, a single deep-sea tree fish would cost 10,000 purple coins, and 10,000 purple coins was equivalent to 1 million gold coins. From this, it could be seen just how expensive it was, and it could only be bought with purple coins. After opening up all of the regions, Qin's businesses had taken a heavy blow. They no longer had the advantages they had before, and adding on Qin's immense power, everyone felt quite fearful of them. Even though Ba Qing had done her best to maintain the businesses, Qing's businesses had only received 10% of what they had been before. If he could nurture this fish egg, it would become one of Qing's specialties, and it would bring massive economic benefits to Qing. Thinking about this, a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face, and he put the fish egg away. He would deal with it after the event was over. Time slowly passed, and the darkness of the night gradually receded. A huge sun rose from the horizon, emitting a blinding light that shone in all directions. Zhao Fu put away his fishing rod and returned to Qin with the water god. He had made many gains from the night, and even though he had not obtained anything too precious or rare, he had obtained a shocking amount of treasures, and most of them were useful to Qin. Zhao Fu was quite satisfied with his gains this time. The water god's power had become a bit more powerful than before, and it seemed that fusing with the divine power from the wheel had been quite effective. After coming to the exchange stone-steel, Zhao Fu's main reason for coming back was to exchange for a city. After a night of gains, Zhao Fu had definitely gathered enough divine fish points. However, when he opened the exchange stone-steel, he found that the third-ranked city, Holy God City, had already been exchanged for. This made Zhao Fu feel quite startled, but seeing that the celestial city was still there, he let out a sigh of relief. He did not hesitate to spend all of his divine fish points to exchange for the celestial city. Now that he had obtained the Sword Shang and celestial city, Zhao Fu could not help but lightly laugh. Now that he had obtained the top 3 items and did not have anything to worry about, Zhao Fu felt much more relaxed. Chapter 827. However, as a rare divine pill, Qin definitely needed it, so Zhao Fu could only do his best to obtain it. If he couldn't obtain it, he wouldn't ask for too much. After making some preparations, Zhao Fu ordered people to take good care of the male mermaid. Mermaids were most likely one of the races in the heaven-awakened world, and they had some blessings. Zhao Fu wanted to nurture some mermaids, so he arranged for him to be in a water region and gave him a city creation stone to see if he could spawn mermaids. If there were many mermaids, he would be able to give all sorts of blessings in the future. After returning to the ocean, Zhao Fu was not as nervous or hurried as before. Instead, he leisurely lay on the boat and rested his head on the water god's leg as he held his fishing rod. Zhao Fu did not have any thoughts about the water god and rested his head on her leg, but she had said that she wanted to make Zhao Fu feel more comfortable. No one in the human world would receive such treatment. Because he had been working for 3 days and 3 nights, Zhao Fu was quite tired, so he closed his eyes and continued to fish. The water god's face was slightly red, and she looked at Zhao Fu, who was resting on her leg, and gave a slight smile. After resting for a while, Zhao Fu became serious again and fished up divine fish after divine fish, obtaining item after item, while the water god continued to spin the wheel. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and Zhao Fu continued to fish from morning to afternoon. The sun was about to set, and the golden light dyed the horizon gold. There were even a few clouds in the sky that were dyed gold, creating a beautiful scene. Suddenly, a massive power came from the other end of the fishing rod, pulling Zhao Fu into the water. Zhao Fu was given a big fright. This power surpassed even that of an 8-colored divine fish. Zhao Fu felt quite delighted and exploded out with the great Qin seal's full power, causing his body to stop and no longer be pulled by that massive force. He gripped the fishing rod with both hands and pulled the divine fish towards him. Both sides were incredibly powerful, so they were stuck in a stalemate for a while. However, seeing that the fishing line was unable to withstand this power and was about to break, Zhao Fu could only give up and turn into a ray of light as he shot towards where the massive power was coming from. A divine fish giving off a 9-colored light appeared in front of Zhao Fu. This divine fish looked like a whale and was completely black. However, its eyes were blood red and looked like gems. It gave off a ferocious and ruthless gaze, and its aura was extremely terrifying. It was much more powerful than the 8-colored divine fish. Roar! The nine-color divine fish discovered Zhao Fu and twisted its body as it rushed toward Zhao Fu. Its massive mouth bit toward Zhao Fu as if it wanted to devour Zhao Fu. This nine-color divine fish was over 1,000 meters long, and its mouth was hundreds of meters wide. It looked incredibly terrifying, and even Zhao Fu was given a big fright and quickly retreated. At the same time, Zhao Fu took out the evil-crushing spear that he had obtained during the Ghost Festival, which was an upgraded version of an ordinary evil-crushing spear. This nine-color divine fish was most likely a type of demon fish, and this evil-crushing spear would be able to counter it. The evil-crushing spear was violet and was formed from countless talisman papers. Zhao Fu vigorously activated it, causing a massive evil-crushing aura to spread out. A few powerful arcs of violet lightning shot out from the evil-crushing spear, and they could stretch out for 10 or so meters. Boom! As Zhao Fu retreated, he threw out the evil-crushing spear. The evil-crushing spear turned into a violet ray of light as it shot towards the nine-colored divine fish. Roar! The violet ray of light gave off a massive evil-crushing aura as it hit the nine-colored divine fish's upper jaw. Countless arcs of violet lightning exploded out from the evil-crushing spear, and the violet ray of light pierced a few meters into the nine-colored divine fish's body before disappearing, causing the nine-colored divine fish to howl in pain. Using this opportunity, Zhao Fu once again took out the Sin Dragon Sword and ferociously slashed against the nine-colored divine fish's body, causing another terrifying wound to appear on its body. Boom! The nine-colored divine fish was infuriated and twisted its tail, causing a massive splash as it slammed towards Zhao Fu. Before the tail arrived, the powerful torrent of water arrived first, and Zhao Fu hurriedly unleashed his Emperor's domain and dodged to the side. Even though he was able to dodge the tail, he was still sent flying far away by the torrent of water. Just as it stabilized itself, the nine-colored divine fish opened its mouth and spat out an orb of water that was hundreds of meters wide, which contained immense power as it shot toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not have time to think or dodge, and he instantly condensed a 1,000-meter-long water sword and slashed out with all of his strength. A massive sword light slashed out, slashing the orb of water in half and causing it to turn into countless droplets of water. Roar! The nine-colored divine fish once again rushed up. This time, it did not use its mouth but its body. With its 1,000-meter-long body, if it was hit, even if it did not die, it would be heavily injured. Zhao Fu could only dodge to the side, narrowly avoiding the nine-colored divine fish's attack. He also used this opportunity to send terrifying power into the Sin Dragon Sword, causing another terrifying sword light to slash out, causing the nine-colored divine fish's massive body to fall to the bottom of the water. Large amounts of mud were kicked up, causing the water to become quite murky. Swish! Swish! Suddenly, massive amounts of water violently gathered as countless 10 or so meter-long water spears instantly condensed and ferociously shot toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's expression fell, and he stretched out his hand, causing 15 city lord seals to form a circle in front of his palm. At the same time, Zhao Fu unleashed his Emperor's domain, which fused with the 15 city lord seals to form a powerful defensive barrier. The water spears continuously shot over, and Zhao Fu continuously dodged and defended against them. He found an opportunity to slash out 5 water dragons that were hundreds of meters long, which roared and sent the nine-colored divine fish flying, causing it to be heavily injured. Roar! The nine-colored divine fish flicked its tail, and its massive body shot towards Zhao Fu like an arrow. It once again opened its mouth, wanting to devour Zhao Fu. However, at that moment, Zhao Fu gave a cold smile and allowed the nine-colored divine fish to devour him. The nine-colored divine fish had never thought that it would be able to devour Zhao Fu so easily. However, before it could rejoice, it felt something in its mouth. The nine-colored divine fish wanted to use the power of its jaws to crush that thing, but it felt an immense pain in its mouth. It felt as if a sharp blade had cut open its mouth. The nine-color divine fish hurriedly spat Zhao Fu out. Now that Zhao Fu had a special defensive barrier, he could completely defend against the nine-color divine fish's power. As such, the nine-color divine fish allowed the nine-color divine fish to devour him and heavily injure it. Even though the nine-color divine fish reacted incredibly quickly, its massive mouth was still slashed open by Zhao Fu, causing immense pain to the nine-color divine fish. Roar! 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 The nine-color divine fish continuously roared in pain and ferociously attacked at Zhao Fu, wanting to return the pain to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was not in a hurry, and he carefully dodged the nine-color divine fish's attacks while looking for another attack. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.